Reboot, I'm cold red, my service automated, like data running through my veins. Got you distracted, subconscious overloaded. Careful, don't pull the cord on me. No time to stay around. Keep walking till you get out of my face. Regrets, restricted access. I'm just a flight to get up in ya. We love discharging. I can't waste my time with someone slowing me down, 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 down. So high, I'm floating, I'm shining in my prime. Start rolling over 'cause you can't take my crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. My crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. Rewind my circuits, but you don't get that courage, 'cause you can handle my game. No, my drive's a puzzle. I got you so bumfuzzled, 'cause you can fall into my pain. No time to stay around. Keep walking till you get out of my face. Regrets, restricted access. I'm just a flight to get up in ya. We love discharging. I can't waste my time with someone slowing me down, 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 down. So high, I'm floating, I'm shining in my prime. Start rolling over 'cause you can't take my crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. My crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. I won't waste my love on your heart. Sorry, 'cause I can't get what I want, and I don't need ya. Discharging, I can't waste my time with someone slowing me down, 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 down. So high, I'm floating, I'm shining in my prime. Start rolling over 'cause you can't take my crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. My crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown.
Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome back to the F1 Word Live and the afternoon session for the second test, day one. It's something like that. This is getting very confusing. The fourth day of testing in the afternoon session. I hope you're all well and enjoyed the morning with me and Stuart. A lot of waffle. And there'll be even more waffle this afternoon, to be joined by Dan very, very shortly. But yes, the usual disclaimers, you know what's coming. No track footage, of course, for obvious copyright reasons. Live timing provided by gptoday.net, as are all the images. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. Like I said earlier, we're not usually a live streaming channel. We just go live for testing and odd times through the season. It's mostly a video channel. And don't forget to drop a like as well on the stream. And if you would like to contribute towards the total at the top of the screen there for a new mic and monitor and setup changes and whatnot, then please do consider links below to PayPal, Super Chat, Streamlabs, MySpace, whatever. It's all there. Yes, we're ready to go. Very much looking forward to it. A lot of changes in terms of the cars, as in drivers. We'll go over those in just a minute, but I do want to kick things off very, very quickly with a look at this morning's result. Danny there in chat just realising that Kubica is top, and yes, he was this morning. C5, 116.9. That's our first C5 run of the day. 53 laps, so I think the tyre probably doing most of the work there, but still great to see Kubica top in the timesheets. Pierre Gasly second despite a troubled morning for AlphaTauri. C4 for him, 117.5. Alexander Albon had suspension issues, but still managed to get a 17.5 in on the C2s and did 29 laps. Lewis Hamilton C2, 117.5, 89 laps. Stroll 117.7, he was on the C3, did 43 laps. Sebastian Vettel C3, 118.1, 84 laps. Daniel Ricciardo on the C2 did a 119.2 on 53 laps. Oh, I saw numbers. Carlos Sainz, C3, 118.2, 46 laps. Nicholas Latifi, who stopped on track with an issue, C4, 118.3, 48 laps. And Romain Grosjean, C3, 118.6, 42 laps. Notable issues, Kubica had a spin, Sebastian Vettel had a spin, and Nicholas Latifi broke down on track. But this afternoon, the only driver who is completing the full day is Romain Grosjean. So, George Russell is in for Latifi, Lando Norris is in for Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon is in for Daniel Ricciardo, although the screens are up at Renault, so not sure what's going on there. Charles Leclerc is in for Sebastian Vettel, but we'll talk about Ferrari shortly because very, very soon there is a press conference and apparently Sebastian Vettel's family are all in attendance, so it could be some news on his future. Speculative, of course. Lance Stroll, he's out for the afternoon. In comes Perez, Bottas in for Hamilton, Verstappen in for Albon, Kvyat in for Gasly, and of course, Kimi Raikkonen in for Robert Kubica. I don't know why I had to explain all of that. You know who the drivers are, but I thought it was worth the mention. Keep you in the loop, and as you can see there, Kubica is still top of the timesheets on a 16.9. Max Verstappen on track, Kvyat on track, and Charles Leclerc. So there we go. Dan, I'm going to bring him in a moment. He's having a few issues with push to talk, so I'll give him a couple of minutes to sort that one out. But yes, very interesting morning. Like I say, it could be an even more interesting afternoon. So what I would say is a couple of things, actually. A couple of heads up on this one. First of all, it could get a bit speculative if, well, whichever way Sebastian Vettel decides to make an announcement today, if that were to happen. But at some point, I may drop into video mode and start recording audio that is quite clearly going into a video after this one, because with all due respect, and as much as I love doing this, there's absolutely no way I'm recording a video after streaming for 7 hours today. So I will just take audio out of this for those that don't watch the live stream. So yes, we've got a press conference. I think it's 2 o'clock UK, 3 o'clock local time. All that it says is 3 p.m. on the sheet, so I assume that's local. So at 2 o'clock, there should be a press conference with Mattia Binotto and Sebastian Vettel, and apparently his family are in Barcelona. And usually when a driver's entourage, if you like, and family are with them, it's for an announcement of some sort. We don't know for sure. It could be that Sebastian Vettel gets in that press conference and goes, yeah, car felt great, really looking forward to tomorrow, going to go put my feet up now and hand it over to Charles. Or he might turn around and say, I'm off or I'm staying. Of course, reports were already suggesting that a contract has been offered. It's whether, I guess as Stuart said this morning, it's whether or not he wants to go on a 1-year contract thing like Bottas has, like a new contract every year, or whether he's maybe going to call it a day if that's the offer. So we will see. A lot of speculation going to come up in this one, but I'm sure it will be 2 o'clock UK time. So I can't imagine that they would announce it any other way. I'm going to try this and hope that he's alive and everything's okay. Good afternoon, Dan. You all right, mate? Have you sorted your technical issues? I'm going with no, but I'm going to leave him on. I'm going to stay in this area here, and he can pop in when he's done. He can listen to me waffle and then drop in when he's ready. So a few issues with Dan, but he will be joining me very, very soon. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in chat. We didn't get round to too much in chat this morning because we just had a properly good waffle, slagging off Nissan Micras and all sorts. Vettel out, Raikkonen in, do it. 5 green dots, says Rico. Yep, so when the track is green, those dots will be green. However, if we get a red flag, I will turn them red. That was one of your requested features from last week, so I do listen most of the time. That is a note from Dan. Yeah, he'll let me know when I'll stay in this thing, and he'll let me know when he's ready to go. And I think MySpace does still exist to answer that one. But yes, what we're looking at. That is Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes out on track. Don't forget you can watch it live, the track footage over on F1 TV and Sky F1 because I'm watching it there. And I think it's on Sky F1 Italy as well. So Bottas, Norris, Verstappen and Leclerc all out on track. Somebody's asking this morning actually about updates on cars and this B-Spec Ferrari. I've been doing some reading from Tammy over on Twitter and apparently there are a few people talking about suspension changes. But the front wing that I think it's Leo Torini, I think that's his name, reported they'll bring in a new front wing. Apparently, the front wing hasn't changed. So this B-Spec car that was being talked about back in January when there's all these concerns about the state of that Ferrari and whether they were behind, looks as though that's not the case now. And it is what Mattia Binotto said last week about chasing the laps in week 1 and then chasing performance in week 2. And I think Ferrari have got some very good lappage in again today. 84 laps for Vettel this morning. Leclerc's already out there on 7. But pace-wise, we've not... How can I word it? We've not really seen anything headline grabbing from Ferrari. I mean, I know it's only testing and they could trundle around all week again and do 18s and 19 lap times. It's not going to really matter, is it? It's only testing, but it'd be nice to see if we can get a decent lap out of them at some point. We've got Valtteri Bottas on the C3s at the moment. What's his first sector like versus Robert Kubica? It's a 22 point something, so 1/10 off. Might actually be a... No, it was close enough. Yeah, so he's pretty good lap this from Valtteri. So going for a quick one straight away on the C3s. But yeah, we'll see what goes on with Ferrari. Going to be an interesting afternoon, I feel. When it comes to the Scuderia. But yeah, the only update I've seen, because I've been trying to sort out those technical issues we had this morning, so I've had a quick look for updates. The biggest one is down at Williams. There's a new front wing on there, although of course they are going to be in the garage changing all sorts of things with the car for Russell this afternoon. But the race over on Twitter, Gary Anderson did a comparison and a bit of stuff on it, explaining that a few more slots have been put in the front wing and bits like that. So there are changes on the Williams, but I've not seen... In fact, I'll read you his tweet. Why not? They've added slot gaps on the inner and on the inner end of the 3rd and 4th flaps. This area could be causing some problems with the aerodynamic stall, which can affect the barge boards and underfloor leading edge, causing instability. So changes to the Williams front wing, I know that for sure, but I am going to keep an eye on Twitter and try and work out if we've got any other changes. But I'd imagine most teams will have bought something. I'm not expecting a massively different aero package from many teams, but I think there'll be something on those cars. And of course, we already know Mercedes are not going to be putting an awful lot, if we believe them, onto the car between now and Australia. If you don't remember from last season, they kind of... What's the word I'm looking for? Well, I suppose sandbagged all through testing, and then they kind of led us all down a path that they were struggling and then bought basically a brand new car to Australia. They are not doing that this year. It's as simple as that. They are not doing that this year. So, yes. For those wondering, Dan's message, by the way, still having some issues with Discord and that, so I will... I'll keep an eye out. I'm gonna stay in that channel, so he'll drop in when he's ready. But yeah, and let me know. On board with Valtteri Bottas. I've not seen... Let me know in chat if you did watch the footage this morning, if you saw much movement with this DAS system they've got. I do love these comparisons they're doing between the Racing Point and the W10. They are very similar on that front wing. In fact, they're practically identical, I would argue. Even the nose and the little slots in the front, it's basically the W10. When you look at the side-by-sides on TV now, they are pretty much the same. So... yeah, but best car, wasn't it, last season? So there you go. It was a quiet start to this afternoon as well, so I don't know what's really going on. Not much. What has Bottas just done? Because he was on a pretty decent lap and ended up P10, 1:18.4. Like I say, on the C3. Fresh Prices, I thought Robert Kubica was out of F1. I'm not keeping up. Yes, he's reserve driver. Test driver. What are the reserve driver, test driver, development driver, Sunday driver, whatever for Alfa Romeo this year. So he's got a couple. He did a test last week. I think it was Wednesday morning. He did this morning as well, but he's not doing any more this week. And I think he's got at least, I'm sure it was 2. It might be more FP1 sessions this coming season. So we are going to see more of Kubica. I do kind of get on board with the rumours and the conversation and the speculation that maybe if Kimi Raikkonen were to call it a day at the end of this season, they might give him a shot in that car, Alfa Romeo. But I guess it depends on what he does behind the scenes and whether or not his sponsor wants to pay up. So, yeah, I could see Kubica back yet. But at the moment, I think he'll be happy in that role, doing his job. He's got a couple of test sessions and he's got some FP1 stuff coming up. So we'll not talk too much about whether Kubica might be back in the future as Bottas goes sixth, because it is February. And although there will be a lot of 2021 driver lineup talk over the course of the year and probably later this afternoon, I do have to keep slapping myself in the face and reminding me that it is only February and there's a long way to go before we get to the summer, let alone next season. So we'll see. But on 2021, I think we'll be pretty static. But we'll see what Seb says at about 2 o'clock. I've got Twitter open and refreshing. And I will let you all know as soon as it comes through. But yes, it might be nothing. It might be absolutely nothing. I'm good, thank you, Stephen, in chat. Hope you are well too. On board with Charles Leclerc, 1.5 seconds out on C2 at the moment. So we'll see what he can do. Little lock up into the final chicane. Nice little exit. A few people getting it wrong there over the course of the last 2 weeks. A little bit twitchy through the final corner. No DAS on that car, that's for sure. Over the line, and he stays P11 on a 1:18.4. 10 laps on the board, though, so we're good. Getting on for the first hour. So good first 45 minutes for Charles out there. Getting some stuff done, as you would expect. Mike, good afternoon in chat, mate. I'll see you tomorrow at this time tomorrow. Yes, you'll be in the stream with myself and the Geordie dude. Jordan the Geordie. That's going to go down well. But yeah, live all week. Very much. I think it's 2 p.m. UK time, Peter, in chat. I really, really do. The official stuff all says 3 p.m. So I would assume that's local time, so 2 p.m. in the UK. Seb looked happy. At least that's what I saw on Twitter feed. Anything happened meanwhile? I think he was very happy with his morning, apart from his spin, obviously. But if you talk about his future, I've not honestly seen too much about Seb. But I think it's more likely we're going to hear that he's extending his stay at Ferrari than he's retiring. I think if he were retiring, and this is again just going off of Michael Schumacher really, but if he were retiring, I would suspect we'd have got an announcement at Monza rather than today. It's really weird talking about this at Barcelona that we might get some kind of announcement. Very, very bizarre when you think about it. It's only February. And I agree with Sue, it'd be such a weird time to announce. It's just a weird time to announce anything. You know, Charles Leclerc was announced in December. Max Verstappen was announced in January. So, you know, yeah, the announcements have come earlier, but they sort of make sense, whereas this is only testing and, yeah, we'll see. It could be anything, but I think what's got the media excited is that his family are there, and so everyone's like, oh, he's probably retiring. But we'll see. We'll see. I kind of hope not. I can't guarantee I won't go and react very badly if he does retire, which is probably might be quite good for a video. And there's been some alterations to the rear wing. I think they were just showing there on the F1 TV feed. I've got Sky, I can rewind it. Let's have a look what they were saying, because I think a few people wonder about updates here and B-spec cars. Whether or not it's actually versus the first test or whether it's just the changes for this year. So they've got a straight edge on week 1. So I assume there's been some changes. And then, yeah, week 2 is a bit more of a curved edge. So the rear wing, that's an update into this week. So it was a straight edge in week 1. So last week, obviously. And then for this week, they've got well, you can see more of a curve now. It's pointed out. Quite obvious. And that sounds stupid. If it's pointed out, of course, it's more obvious. But it looks more obvious now. Definitely a curved wing on there. So there we go. So rear wing, definitely. Suspension, apparently. Front wing, no. So they are your changes and non-changes and possible changes at Ferrari. Like I say, all I know for sure is now that rear wing and that Williams have got a new front wing. And by new front wing, I mean they've got some extra slots in it. It really is that simple. Steckleton in chat. Afternoon again. Can't get rid of you, can I? It's terrible. I'm joking. See, Roberto in chat said maybe an exit clause based on testing results. Doesn't want to go another challenging year. On the face of it, there'll be people that will go, what? Why would there be an exit clause in testing? But if you go back, we're going back a few years now to the Honda days at McLaren. I always talk about this Amazon documentary they did. It's really good. But Fernando Alonso, he'd been in the car and it was not what he'd expected. He didn't want another year fighting at the back in a Honda and he was on the brink of walking away. So, I mean, it's not impossible that that's there. But I do think surely it's more likely he's going to sign a new contract. Dan's having technical issues. He's just showing me now. I got a picture over there. Oh, Dan, this is terrible, mate. Terrible. Unacceptable. I'll let him off. But yes. I'm with Cash there. It's just going to be contract. Do you know what as well? It might not be that. He might be launching a new range of bathroom cleaner or something. Do you know what I mean? It could be nothing to do with his Formula One future at all. And he might just be talking about his morning session. But you know how the media like to grab things and get us all excited and then actually nothing happens. It's always the same. And again, Cash, me and Cash, we're just there. It says, we'll all wish for the drama and excitement, but it never is. And that's absolutely true. The Amazon Prime series was brilliant for an insight into a team's pre-season, says F1 Fanatics. Absolutely was. Love that. Highly recommend it if you've got Amazon Prime, but also, of course, Drive to Survive on Friday. I hope we're all getting excited for that one. Available on Netflix, I assume from midnight, wherever you are in the world. So looking forward to watching that. I'll be fast forwarding to the Williams episode just to see if they've used it and then cry all afternoon or all day if they haven't. But yes, there we go. Perez on track. Even though I went through it all, I forgot he was in for Stroll today. I've got a good feeling about Racing Point this year. I don't think they're going to break into top 3. A lot of people talking about that. Malone saying, yeah, but you are part of the media. I'm not part of the media. I'm a gobshite fan on YouTube. It's not, I mean, technically it's media, but I'm not media at all. I was going to say Racing Point, a few people talking about top 3. I think Stuart touched on it this morning as well. I don't think so. I can't see. I think Ferrari or Red Bull would have to make a spectacularly bad call on their car, to be honest, for Racing Point to get top 3. But they could get podiums. You know, we look at Checo around Baku is a machine. There's something about Checo and that track which just works. He loves it there. So if he's got a car that can compete and we get a little bit of chaos, I think he's got a great shot at making a podium. Maybe we'll see Stroll up on a podium again. Who knows? But I don't think we're looking at regular top 3 challenges in the championship, honestly. The Rooster 21, name of the Amazon Prime testing documentary. Is it Grand Prix Driver? I think it is, something like that. So, yeah, really good. It's got Stoffel Van Dorn and Fernando Alonso on the thumbnail, if you like. Good old stuff. So, yeah. Screens are still up at Williams. And apparently there was an engine firing up there, though. So, it looks like they've got whatever that was sorted. I'll quick scroll through on everything on here. We know that Renault's barriers are up as well, so I don't think we're going to see Ocon for a while, but there's been no word. Can you tell him try to do 2 things at once? There's no word on what's going on at Renault, so as soon as I see something, I keep refreshing my feed, I will let you know. Is Dan using the new Rogro software? Probably. On the subject, we're on board with Rogro at the moment in that really nice Haas liveried car. I'm a big fan of the Haas livery as well, along with the Williams and the AlphaTauri or Tauri or whatever, Toro Rosso, it'll do. 116.9 for bits or so. Grosjean's going to be nowhere near that. He's only into the final corner and hit the 16, so he's on the C3. I'd imagine some kind of long run, maybe. DRS open down the straight. 4 seconds off, 13th at the moment. What's his time? 1:18.6. I will try and regularly run through the order on the hour and on the half hour as well, because I know that there are 19 drivers on that timesheet, but I can only fit 13 on. The only way to get all 19 on is to shrink that right down, and then no one's going to see it on mobile, and I think people struggle anyway, so yeah, I'll have to just run through that for you, but, you know, yeah. Jose, is that Samut? Yeah, we'll just call you Jose. So would love to hear the cars in his commentary. We talked about this morning, actually. I asked F1 if I could use car sounds, and I've heard nothing back. That would have been great. It would have been fantastic. Just have the car noise in the background. I'd have loved that. But unfortunately can't. It was still classed as copyright according to those in the know. So we'll play it. Yeah. We'll play it safe, especially with the way FOM are this time of year, taking everything down. So, yeah. Apparently there's some super chats I didn't respond to. Did Streamlabs update? Streamlabs did not update. So if you post it again, Dan, don't do the super chat again. I'm not saying give me more money. I'm not being that cheeky, but just pop it in chat and I'll keep an eye out for you. And I will let you know, and I'll answer that one for you. But yeah, I've got nothing on my Streamlabs update. I think I've missed a couple of super chats at the start of this, so I can do that super quickly. David Mitchell, thank you very much for your contribution. Didn't leave a message, but really appreciate that one. And Bill Go Metz, also thank you very much for your contribution. Said, how did Renault run this morning? I missed it. Renault were, again, we kind of discussed this morning. They've been really quiet in testing so far, apart from one claim from Cyril Abiteboul that they might be top three. But I think quiet again out on track. 53 laps for Ricciardo this morning. But what's concerning for them at the moment, what was his time, Ricciardo? 1:18.2. So quite a way down the order, but some good running again. But like I say, the screens are up at the moment. There is some sort of issue, and no word on what that issue is. So we'll keep an eye on that for Renault. But I would say a quietly productive morning, which sort of sums up Renault's first week as well. Really? Maybe just me. But yeah, really quite a lot of flavours on the back of that McLaren. I have to go and check that Dan hasn't reposted that message now, aren't I? I ask his reading the super chat, then I don't check the chat. That's about right for me. They could literally just be changing the floor. Doesn't have to be an issue necessarily. That's from Tom. Very true. Obviously, the only way they can have the blinds, the garage doors shut or the screens across is if the floor is off the car. So it's something floor related or needs the floor removing. So I'll keep an eye out. I'll go through the order again in a moment for anyone just tuning in. But Lando Norris out there having a nice little run in his McLaren. Good looking McLaren as well. Again, with that livery. What's he doing that time? A 21 something. 21.7 flat. But he's nowhere near. Where is he on the timing at the moment? I think McLaren are another one. I know Sainz did some good laps again this morning and the times weren't too bad. But Renault and McLaren have been really quiet. And I think that's a sign of confidence. Maybe that's just me, but that's put him 15th. We've still got no time from Russell, Raikkonen and Ocon. Russell, of course, will be waiting for Latifi's car, or the car to get sorted out after Latifi blew it up this morning. Raikkonen, nothing from him yet. Maybe don't want to go and take that time off Kubica. And Ocon, we're still waiting for some news on what's going on down at Renault as well, so... Quite a few. There were quite a few on track. We're down to Perez and Norris at the minute, so it's another quiet moment. Try to keep an eye on Dan, see how he's getting on. Updating Discord, by the way, by the look of it, which is a pain in the backside to update at times. It must be said. Yes, Kubica is really fastest, Ben. Really good lap this morning, but it was on the C5, so softest compound. But enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. We're at 1:54 UK time. I'm going to run through the order because obviously that press conference is at 2, so I want to keep an eye out for that one. So not a lot changing from what I went through half an hour ago as Kimi Raikkonen finally goes out on track. Robert Kubica the fastest, 1:16.942. 53 laps this morning, so good lappage and a good time. Pierre Gasly, 1:17.540, 25 laps. Now, Kubica was on the C5 and Gasly was on the C4, I believe. I'm just going to double check that, even though I went through this a moment ago. But yeah, he was indeed. Alexander Albon, 1:17.529 laps. That was on the C2 a little bit earlier today. Hamilton, 17.589 laps. Stroll, 17.743 laps. Bottas is the first of the afternoon runners at the moment. 1:18.1, only 8 laps so far, but he's out there. Sebastian Vettel, of course, was in this morning. 18.1, 84 laps on the C3. Perez is next up of the afternoon runners, 1:18.2. We could do sheets really, couldn't we? Morning versus afternoon. But anyway, 18.2 with 18 laps. Ricardo 18.2.53. Sainz 18.2.46. Latifi 18.3.48. None of those are in the car this afternoon. Leclerc is in the car this afternoon. He's done an 18.4 and 14 laps. Romain Grosjean 56 laps this morning, 18.6. I believe he's been out on track. Yes, he has indeed. We've already looked at him, haven't we? So that was from this morning. And then we've got, good Lord, there's so many names on this list. Max Verstappen, 15 laps, 19.3. He's been running on the hardest tyre, which is a C1. Lando Norris in the McLaren, 12 laps at 120.3. Daniel Kvyat, 9 laps, 125.0. 2 laps for Kimi, no time. And then Russell and Ocon still in the garage at the moment. Yes. I feel like we're just hanging around waiting for Ferrari now, which could be interesting.
Be ideal.
Guess who's here, everyone?
Hello.
He's sorted his issues out. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right now. now I'm here. And just quickly, if I start lagging or anything, just kick me off because if
I
it's
will
bad,
do.
I'm not quite too sure what the issue is. But I've done a classic: unplug it, put it back in, and it seems to have fixed it. So fingers crossed. But how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was just saying, I feel like we're hanging around waiting for Ferrari now. And this announcement, we're here for testing, but we're all looking at press conference times again, like, come on, Ferrari. What's your money on retirement, contract extension, or a new line of bathroom cleaner?
I don't really know anything about this press conference, to be totally
Oh.
honest. So I might need you to fill me in here.
I will. Let's do it so no one can hear. Yeah, well, Ferrari announced yesterday that they're having a press conference today, 3 o'clock local time, 2 o'clock UK, with Mattia Binotto and Sebastian Vettel. But what's got people excited is that Vettel's family are all there. And that usually means there's some sort of an announcement coming. But equally, as Chat have pointed out, and as I've already said, it could also be absolutely nothing, and he's just coming to talk about the new rear wing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I had heard about this, but I just didn't read too much into it because obviously last week Toto had an interview or a press conference with Lewis, and then I believe Max and Christian Horner have got one later on this week. So I kind of just assumed it was a media kind of thing that didn't need too much reading into. But if I think that, I'm not really a proper F1 fan, always
Exactly.
got to dig out those stories. An announcement would be cool. I think, we've already seen Charles and Max signed up for the long term. So, I mean, we're only a couple of minutes away, I guess. This is cool to start off with.
I mean, that's a good point, getting excited, and actually we already have had press conferences with driver and team principal, so it could be absolutely nothing but a press conference.
Sorry, everyone.
It's just the fact it was last minute that I think, because like you've just said there, that there's one at the end of the week with Horner and Verstappen, but we know about that now, whereas this was only announced yesterday afternoon. I think it's that late announcement that's probably got people more, and the fact his family are there. But to be honest, I think if I was an F1 driver and I was testing, I'd probably take family because, it's got to be a cool day out, see cars on track.
Yeah, I'm reading into it now.
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long.
Exactly. That is strange that it's the same day because you'd feel if he invited his family, it would be a day where he doesn't have any media commitments. Food for thought, that is.
It's probably stuff all.
It's probably a sponsorship or something.
Yeah, it's probably absolutely nothing. But we've been so. Well, I was just going to say, news has been so dry over the winter, but it really hasn't with Leclerc's announcement, Verstappen's announcement, Aston Martin coming in, and all that. Yeah.
I feel it can only be good news. He's not going to announce his retirement or anything like that. I wouldn't imagine at this point of the season.
See, my enthusiasm and speculative mind appears to have rubbed off on you, and now your sceptical mind has rubbed off on me because I'm thinking, well, it probably is absolutely nothing then. Oh, well.
When is it? 2 o'clock, you said, yeah?
Yeah, so any minute. But
Awesome.
I just... Ferrari likes to do these things around Monza, don't they?
Yeah.
Announcements and stuff, so I can't. I'm now thinking about it a bit more. Now I have someone to bounce off, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Chat have been keeping you honest. I've been keeping an eye.
Chat keeping me honest. They never keep me honest. It's always on my back. No, I'm joking.
Take him down, chat.
Ben Farrell's my new best friend. Stoffel Vandoorne deserves another chance in F1. I think, like, you'll probably tell me no just to banter me now because you know you're going to get some Grosjean stick later. But I think you probably agree that Stoff deserves another shot, but probably won't happen.
Yeah, it's one of those ones I'd like to see him, and I don't think he was given enough of a chance, but I don't really see him fitting in anywhere. If that kind of, I don't see a team that'd be willing to offer up an opportunity. So I think it's in the same vein as that. I'd love to see Pascal Wehrlein back in F1. I'm just not too sure if that ship sailed. And Wehrlein's better than Vandoorne. I'm just saying it now.
No. I think, I got Gutierrez on screen there. But I was just going to, I think Wehrlein's ship has sailed. I think that's gone. But I think the thing is, though, unless a Mercedes or a Red Bull or Ferrari go for Stoffel, he's not going to leave a Mercedes manufacturer team in Formula E.
Yeah.
It's a good seat. But this is going for a guy who still hasn't watched the last E-Prix.
There's one this weekend.
I know.
I mean, catch up.
Well, I can double them up, can't I, on Saturday then? I get a double bill.
I guess.
Been weirdly busy this last week. I don't know, but yeah. I just look at Gutierrez now. I know we don't always cover what's happening on track in these streams, but I'd still prefer to see the track action and Gutierrez pointing at a TV screen. As exciting as that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Although, is anyone on track at the moment?
According to my thingy, Bottas and Perez, so basically no. 2 people out of not 19 now, is it? But yeah. Been a lot of drivers. I mean, Rogro is the only one that's in all day. They must have some faith in him.
Well, that makes 2 people. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised though. I mean, I'm certainly not in a position to know about what goes on day to day in testing, but I just feel logistically it's easier to have one driver in each day. I don't quite get why they split the sessions, but I mean, 9 out of the 10 teams have done it, so what do I know?
Well, Red Bull apparently, in their words, wore Max Verstappen out by running him all day. So they've decided to split it for this week. But to be fair, he did do a lot of laps. I was just going to say, that's not a good sign for the season, but he did do a lot of laps, like 3 race distances in a day. So I suppose that's something. But yeah, I think from a data point of view, you'd want some consistency in there. But at the same time, with only 6 days of testing, you need to get your drivers as much time as possible in different conditions and running different programs. So I'm still not convinced, apart from getting a feel from the car, that this is for the drivers testing. I think it is definitely for the teams. But I think we may have had this conversation last week, mate, but I think it is just from a driver's point of view, getting a feel for the car, getting used to it, whereas for the team, it's just data.
Yeah, and then it kind of surprises me that we haven't seen more reserve drivers this year. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 last season. I might be remembering that wrong, but I even remember Mazepin doing a few sessions for, it might have been Racing Point or Force India. I can't remember how many seasons ago it was. But I mean, yeah, I definitely think this is more for the teams than the drivers, especially when, like, Verstappen in one day, like you just mentioned, is doing 3 race distances. You'd like to think he's got a good understanding of the car by that point.
As well, it's like they probably love. It is, they like to race, and it is a lot of race distances with all those laps in testing. But how boring must it be from a driver's perspective? Because you're not racing, you are just driving around in circles for 154 laps or whatever. That can't be thrilling.
Yeah, it's like time trial on the F1 game. 3 laps.
3 laps in, and it feels like being on a week.
It's 160 whatnot. That's ridiculous.
I might try that one day. Just see how it feels.
Yeah, don't go full beans though either. You got to be on the medium tyres with high fuel load just to make it even more interesting.
Yeah, braking 6 weeks too early for a corner, getting wiped out by a guy behind you. Yeah, thrilling. I can't imagine. I'm starting to suspect this is nothing. There's just been a picture from F1 Insider up on Twitter of Seb sat there. It looks like an official F1 thing, so I'll keep an eye on it. It's probably just some new shoes or something. It's probably nothing. I didn't mean to like that Autosport post, so I'll remove that. Sophia Flörsch, I can never say her name, is going to be racing in Formula 3, apparently. I've just seen.
What a
yes.
comeback that is.
That is incredible. It's Steckleton. Thank you very much, Steckleton, for sending me that. Yeah, that phenomenal. When you think about it, I mean, first of all, the fact that she got away from that accident alive is incredible, isn't it, in itself? But then to make it to F3, 2 steps away from F1 in what, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's I don't know what to say. That's pretty awesome. I'm really pleased for her.
It's just a bit insane. Like, I think a lot of people, even after a crash like that, wouldn't want to get back in a car, yet alone get quicker and try and get better and get back into fully competitive series. Hats off, to be fair.
First name, last name. She flew in that race, right? Yes, she did. Backwards, didn't she? She kind of got a spin on and then hit the sausage curb and took off, if I remember rightly. And, well, I mean, did she hit Marshall's?
I think it was a photographer's booth, I think. I don't know if anyone was injured, like, apart from, obviously, her.
Phenomenal. I'm just watching Red Bull here with are they making a pit stop? Nope. Just to stop and off they go again. Maybe an adjustment on the front wing for Max there. Off he goes. Bottas, Perez and Leclerc on track. Max will go out again now. So there we go. I don't know. I've just got this. I think if there was any announcement, we'd have heard now. So it's probably absolutely nothing. Oh, no. Thomas Mayer, who's really good on Twitter as well. Another one that you should probably keep an eye on if you're over there. Vettel said, I still love driving and I'm here to win. I joined Ferrari to win the championship and we haven't done so far, but the determination is there. So maybe nothing today, but maybe just a little press conference where they basically say Vettel's staying, but we just need to sign the contract or something like that. He's all smiles at the press conference and they're just, people just sharing the quote that he loves driving and wants to stay and wants to finish that. Can you see Seb winning the title at Ferrari, Dan? Or is that another ship that might have sailed now?
I think there's still time. I think he's going to have to get his skates on pretty early this season. I think he's going to have to try and assert that dominance within the team, maybe in the first 5 races. Because if Hamilton, let's just say Hamilton and Verstappen are clearly the number one at their respective teams, if Ferrari want to be in that hunt and they've got the 3rd best car, I think they might have to do a bit of the favouritism game, which is always a bit of a dangerous game with Ferrari between Seb and Charles. So, I think it's a difficult one because I think Ferrari have got 2 drivers more than capable of being world champion. And I feel coming off of last season, I feel Leclerc does have the edge slightly, but very quickly, first race of the season, Seb, we've seen before, he can come out of the gates flying in Melbourne. It's a track he seems to quite like. So a little bit like we saw with Bottas last year, if Vettel straight away can get a victory under his belt, rather than waiting all the way to Singapore like we saw last season, I wouldn't count him out. And I think he might surprise a few people this year. And I think perhaps people are writing him off a little bit too quickly.
Shout out to RJ in chat about a minute ago, posted, I think press conferences last minute because people seem to be doubting Ferrari's performance, bad publicity and demotivating for the team, so they want to get a positive message out there. About 20 seconds ago, Tammy tweeted, Vettel has said, I feel that the car is much better in corners, especially in the fast corners like turn 9, for example. And Binotto has said, we try to optimise the setup, our focus will shift more to fast laps. So you could have called that right there, mate. That could have been a very good shout. And maybe that is last minute, get the positive message out there, stop people speculating about how good or bad they are. But, I mean, with the question marks over Vettel's contract, there's always going to be question marks there anyway, aren't there, this season for Ferrari? But at least if their performance improves. We said this morning, me and Stuart, I'm not buying into this. Oh, yeah, we're not going to be there for Melbourne. We're really struggling. I might be completely wrong, come back to eat those words, but that is just surely just testing talk, trying to, the mind games and all that early for Barcelona. I'd be very, very surprised if they're as slow as they have been.
Yeah, I'm not buying into it either whatsoever. But I feel for them because I feel like they can't win. Last year, there was all this praise and positivity, and obviously they didn't quite live up to the hype. This year, they've completely toned that down, and they're being ripped to pieces that they're going to be terrible. So I kind of hope it's got the reverse effect. But yeah, I think we do have to listen to ourselves sometimes, especially some of the TV media, and realise it is just testing.
Oh yeah, I always throw that in. I just get more sarcastic as the week goes on. Like only testing. Binotto's added to his comments. I'm going to keep doing this for the next few minutes. Our competitors are very fast, especially Mercedes. Their fastest lap time in the tests was very impressive. They also seem to be reliable, which they have been for about 6 years now. There's no doubt that they have the fastest car at the moment. Oh, come on, Binotto. I ain't having that. It's all mind games, isn't it? We'll see in Australia. I mean, there might be. We might get to Australia, there might be a second off the pace and under threat from Racing Point and McLaren. But I think it's all, yeah. We'll be surprised. People asking me in chat, why haven't Omen at Racing Point would end up losing to McLaren and Renault once those two teams develop their car even more? Is Racing Point good in mid-season development? That's from Christopher Michael. I think the problem for mid-season development for a team like Racing Point is next year. Are they going to bother developing the car over the summer if there's these huge changes coming for 21 when, they really need to be looking at... I don't know when you'd say, Dan, but I mean, we're not talking the first few races, but I think, a few months into the season, they're going to have to put full focus on 2021, which I still think is why they've traced the W10. I still think that's what that is, but they can't really... I can't see Racing Point, Williams, possibly AlphaTauri, maybe Alfa Romeo, most of the midfield, like Haas, for example. I can't see them still developing that car in August, for argument's sake.
Yeah, I think actually that could be quite interesting this year, is how quickly we just see some of the teams completely stop development. And I mean, especially for Williams, it wouldn't surprise me if they stopped maybe after the Spec B car in Spain, because if they're at the back of the grid comfortably anyway, yes, one fluky result might potentially bump them up to 9th, but I think it might be worth the gamble just to completely go all in for 2021. And I think early doors, if a Racing Point has started the season strong, that might encourage them to say, look, let's wait for next year and let's abandon this year's car. But it's going to be interesting. And with a cost cap as well, is that coming into force next year? Or is it a soft cost cap next year?
Yeah, it's like a I think there's a trial run this March and then another trial run next March, effectively, and then from 2022 is when they'll start policing it, because they'll have to submit their 2021 financial stuff in March 22, if that makes sense, and then we'll get the news on who's broken the rules and who hasn't.
Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, I'm not exactly sure on the difference between the prize money between each position in the championship, but I suppose teams will have to weigh up whether it's worth putting in that bit of investment to potentially go up a place, or whether it's worth just completely going all in on next season.
Annette in chat, I don't have a life outside F1. You don't have a life outside F1. This is it for me. This is all I've got. McLaren will probably push if they can get 4th again, especially if they are close with Racing Point and Renault. And that was from RWG 1986, year I was born. I think McLaren and Renault will continue to develop to a point, but I just don't think it sounds really condescending and like I'm putting those teams down, and I don't mean it to, but your lower midfield teams budget-wise, so like I said, Racing Point, Haas, Williams, for example, they're not going to pour a ton of resources into this year's cars. Like you said, especially Williams, I said it this morning, they are a team that potentially have the most to gain. So why, I mean, aside from obviously you don't want to be trundling around at the back and putting sponsors off, but at the same time, a team like Williams, it's not going to hurt them in terms of development to write this year off completely and put full focus on 21 already, apart from obviously if you're a sponsor, a team like Williams struggles for money and sponsors are going, oh yeah, I'd like to be a sponsor of an F1 team, and Williams go, oh, we'll have you, and then they're like, well, you're 4 seconds off the pace at the back. You're not even taking this seriously. They're not going to sign sponsors up. So if you forget about that, it makes the most sense. But I'd be surprised if McLaren and Renault aren't developing until the summer break in some way. I mean, I don't think we'll see the same development arc that we saw last year, because there's no point, because these cars are all going in the bin at the end of the season. But before they throw them away, if they want to give me one, that's fine. But I think there will be some sort of, maybe, a new front wing or a slightly different end fence on that front wing, or a tiny bit of carbon fibre on a barge board, that kind of thing, up to the summer break, and then we'll get the... Yeah. That's why I hope it's a close season, because if we end up with a season where one team disappears with it all and the races are a bit meh, because there'll be very little development in the second half of the season, that's what you've got till Abu Dhabi. So I think it'll be a good season, though. Totally random point to end that off on.
Yeah, and I think with McLaren and Renault as well, I think they'll definitely look at what Mercedes did last big regulation change. I mean, I know they won a couple of races in 2012 and 2013, but they weren't championship winning cars. And very, very quickly, we saw how right now we're still seeing the result of that early jump to the regulation change. So it wouldn't surprise me if McLaren and Renault drop back a little bit this year, but it's just going to be a really different story to watch over the year.
Luke Smith, another one you should be following on Twitter if you're on Twitter, says Vettel continues to be coy after a few questions about his Ferrari future or a new contract. And Vettel said, quote, and we need to listen to this, Dan. We have to listen to this. He said, I would appreciate it if that was the last question regarding that. So
wishful thinking.
Yeah, good luck with that, Seb. I've basically got a video scheduled every week speculating about Sebastian Vettel's future. I'm joking, I haven't really. There'll be something around the summer, I'm sure, but I think no announcement. As Dan kind of ruined that for me when he came in. I was all excited and his skepticism has rubbed off. So in the end, as expected, but the start of the stream was quite excited. But I think given possibly his lack of options and also Ferrari's lack of options, I think he's probably going to stay for another year. His experience as well for 21 will be huge. So, but I'm not going to go over that again. We went over that this morning. What's going on track? We're on board with the sexy AlphaTauri. Love that livery. Don't care if everyone hates it. George Russell is out on track. Good news for George. I think, just going to double check that. He is on the official thing. Yes, he is. So they've got that sorted, Williams. Still waiting on Ocon. The screens were still up last time I looked. So something going on there. Who else is out there? So on track, Verstappen, Bottas, Leclerc, Grosjean, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Russell. We've got Grosjean and I think that was Kvyat together on track. Wow, that's not a combination you want on track together too often, is it?
Yeah, that pesky Kvyat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Grosjean, 7/10 off, C3, coming through the first sector there. Where is Rogro at the minute? He's dropped off my page. Let's have a look. I'll go through the order shortly again. P14, 118.6, 63 laps. So he's getting the laps in again, Dan. His old Grosjean, old Roman.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of hope he doesn't end up in the wall this time round. Even I've got to admit, you shouldn't be doing that in testing.
He got 150 odd laps though, didn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, that's 3 race distances.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, if he can do that over the season, go every 3 races, that's not awful. And he did make it back to the pits as well.
Yeah,
it wasn't a red flag, so I'll take it.
Oh, who was asking me this morning? If you're in chat, let me know. Somebody's asking me this morning about Trident's lineup. I think it is. The name's just gone out of my head.
Nasani.
That's the one. Nissani, and I can't remember the other one either. You're going to tell me though.
Sato.
It could be Sato.
I'm not sure now of the other one.
Yeah. Roy Nissani and Sato. So there we go. For whoever was asking this morning, I just thought I just literally just came to me then when I was looking at something else. So, yes, good news. Is that the full grid sorted for F2?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Wow, it's not a bad grid either again this year. It's definitely not that last year's was bad, but it's definitely a step up again. So
yeah, agreed.
Looking forward to F2 this year. Jack Chambers, is that Takuma Sato's son?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm gonna Google Takuma Sato. I didn't think Takuma Sato was that old. Not that that's not. It just he's got an old son. 43, maybe.
I feel there would be more hype around him.
Yeah.
If he, like a Lacey, like there was quite a bit of hype around him. I don't think he's the best of talents in F2, but at least there was a bit of a buzz around him. I might be wrong.
It doesn't say anywhere. I think. I mean, he's 20, so Sato would have been 23. I mean, it's more than possible. But people say, I know it's a different Sato, but we weren't sure if it was Takuma Sato's son. What's George doing? Do you know what would be great, wouldn't it, if Williams just go and stick in a 1:15.3 or something now, and we all go, whoa.
I mean, I think it's great just seeing Big Robbo at the top of the timesheet.
Yeah,
so he can stay there.
I mean, he might top it because that was on the C5, and Lando Norris was saying this morning that he's not going to be doing any. Well, again, what drivers and teams say doesn't necessarily mean anything. But he said he wasn't going to be doing the any C5 running this afternoon. So Norris, that's a no from McLaren. They're not going for times today. Maybe Bottas might.
Is that the third best lap of testing so far?
Oh God, that's a question, Dan. Why'd you ask me these things?
Sorry.
I can have a look for you as I now try and do. No, that's not the right one.
Oh, sorry.
Day
What have
3,
I done?
week 1. Let's have a look. So fastest was a 15.7 from Bottas. It is. It's the third fastest. Good shout, Dan. 16.9. Kubica, championship contender,
Naughty.
confirmed. As a reserve. He's just that good. Yeah, 15.7, 16.5 and 16.9. And then Raikkonen 17.0. So Alfa have currently got the third and fourth best times. Alfa Romeo have currently got the third and fourth best times.
Good save.
Interesting. Ferrari, 1:18.1 is their current fastest. And Vettel has beaten that marginally this morning, but only by a few hundredths. They're well down the order.
Don't you join the anti-Ferrari parade now?
I want to see Ferrari do well. I want Red Bull and Ferrari challenging Mercedes this year. We need it.
Would be nice.
Binotto says Mercedes' suggestions that Ferrari ran its engines at lower levels to its customer teams last week is, quote, not correct. So that was Ferrari flat out, apparently. Oh, keep going, Binotto. I'm enjoying this. Yeah. Final thing on Vettel's future, then I'm going to move on from it. It is not the right time to talk about my future. You're not kidding, it's testing. But the moment will come. The car is currently a priority. I would appreciate if this was the last question on the topic. So that's the full quote there. So there we go. Seb staying for this season and possibly for next season as well, or he might retire, or he could move to Grimsby. I don't know. Super chats, says Jack. I did the 2 super chats, mate, but I've not had any more. Unless you've donated another $3,000 over PayPal. Which, by the way, is still sat in my account pending. Just point that one out. But yes. Norris, loads of Flovis. I think the Williams and McLaren have got quite a bit of Flovis on. 3 cars on track. It's been a really quiet afternoon, weirdly. Well, not weirdly, it's testing. Bottas, Norris and Russell out there at the moment. Ted Kravitz in the commentary box. Bit of Ted. We've got Ted Kravitz, Johnny Herbert and Simon Lazenby. Interesting. I know commentary doesn't necessarily matter in testing, but there's no lead commentator there, is there?
Wow, the disrespect.
Oh, come on. Well, Lazenby's a presenter. Herbert's, well, he's Herbert, isn't he? And then you've got Ted Kravitz, who's a pit lane reporter. So you got no Alex Jakes, no Will Buxton, no Crofty. I forgot his name.
I tell you what, I've really been enjoying Jolyon Palmer this week. And I did not expect to be saying that. I think he's great.
He's honest and he has something to back it up. If that makes sense.
Definitely.
I like him. And I know he gets a lot of stick, does old Palmer. So yeah, I like him. On board with Lando Norris at the minute, out on track. Anything changing lap time wise worth mentioning? No. 18.1 for Bottas is Verstappen's faster. He's the fastest of the afternoon runners now. 18 flat, 30 laps for Max, so not bad so far for the first hour or so. Jonty said, of course Palmer is great. He's not in a car. That's harsh, man. That is harsh. Probably true as well, but yeah. Good in the commentary team. For sure. But Bottas, yeah, second. Half a tenth off Verstappen in sixth. Perez running this afternoon. He's a tenth further back down in ninth. Latifi Leclerc, 18.4. I'm just looking for the afternoon runners at the moment rather than anything else. Ocon still not on track. Russell, 23.8, 7 laps. Norris, 20.1, 17 laps. Raikkonen, 19.8, 13 laps. Fiat, 18.5, 15 laps. Leclerc, 18.4, 26 laps. I think we're on a bit of a... I mean, all of testing's a lull. I think it's a fair point to make, but we're in a testing lull at the moment with a lot of people doing... I mean, McLaren are clearly doing some aero work, and so are Williams, and I think a lot of this is long run pace. I can't remember words out now. Long run pace. Not that we saw any one-lap pace over the morning. I asked Stuart this morning, do you reckon, Dan, that Friday afternoon we might get some headline-grabbing times?
I would like to think so. I have a gut feeling we won't, though. I don't know why.
Expectation.
Yeah, exactly. It would. It's the age-old thing. It would be great just to see a Latifi just whack on the C5 tyres, do a quali lap, and just get it all ready, all hooked up, top of the times, going into Melbourne. But for whatever reason, teams don't like to do that. And it's fine. It's just a bit boring.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone just asking in chat if I could show positions 13 down. There we go. I'll try and do that every now and again, but like I said, I can't shrink that down. If I shrink that down anymore, it's going to be like impossible to read on mobile. So I'll pop it there for a couple of minutes and then you can see what's going on. But not an awful lot at the moment. Like I say, long runs it seems to be. Perez out there in last year's Mercedes. But that's about it. It's quiet, Dan. It's quiet. What do you want to talk about? Let me know, chat. What have you got anything you want to discuss, Dan?
You know what? If I'm being totally honest, the most interesting thing on track at the moment is I think Lando Norris is running his new helmet, which he didn't run last week. So that explains my excitement at the moment.
What are your thoughts on Fernando driving for McLaren at the Indy 500? Are you pleased he's getting another shot at it? I said this morning I just wanted to win it so that people stop talking about it, to be honest.
It'll mean I watch it, so I'll look forward to that. I think what I find strange is I quite like Alonso's adventures around the world. Like I took an interest in the Dakar this year for like the first proper time ever, so I'm quite enjoying learning along the way as he's going through all these different series. But yeah, I kind of wish he'd get it done now. And I also find it strange with McLaren. Like I know there weren't too many options for him, but I swear 2 years in a row now, he said, "Oh, that's enough, no more with McLaren," and then a few months later gone back. It's just really weird.
He has a weird, I don't want to say love-hate relationship with McLaren, but that's kind of how it feels like from the outside looking in, doesn't it?
It's really bizarre. Like, I get it. I get that this is his best opportunity to win, but talk about biting your tongue. He's done it so many times.
Vettel taking a leaf out of the F1 word book. Says, not to panic, the season hasn't even started yet, so I'm going to stick this at the end. It's only testing. We just can't read anything into it, but I love doing these streams, Dan, because we can just chat with everyone. So, at F1 Word, this is France. Do you think that one of my favourite tracks, Malaysia, will come back? Yes, please. I'd love to see Malaysia back. The clock stopped, apparently, so I think that is probably... Is that the track I'd most like to see back? Obviously, I really do have a soft spot for Imola. But I think for the racing, I think Malaysia's a fantastic track. And I keep saying it's the only one Tilke got right. But that's because it was his first proper one in terms of F1. But I absolutely love Malaysia, and I want to see it back. Obviously, you know, Imola, great for history. There are tracks like Turkey that's really good, but politically that's not a very good idea. India, that was binned off by the government because of funding, I believe. I think somebody's told me many times in chat about that one. That was a really good track. I enjoyed that. South Korea, again, really good track. We got some great races there, but nobody ever turned up because couldn't get to it because that was like the worst planned circuit location I've probably ever known. And we're going to the dunes in Zandvoort in May, so, you know, whatever. But I think Malaysia's, if not top of my list, it's right up there, Dan, as a circuit I'd love to see back. And so many memories there as well. And whether it be great memories, torrential rain, or multi-21, so many stories from Malaysia.
Yeah, I think it's... I'm trying to think of any you've not mentioned there. I think it's right at the top of my list. I mean, I'd love to see... I know it's only just gone, but I would like a German Grand Prix, whether it's at Hockenheim or... And I can never say this one properly. The Nürburgring? Or is it...
Nürburgring.
Nürburg... I always feel like I say that wrong. Maybe not. But I even quite liked it when F1 was there. So I wouldn't be opposed to going back there. But yeah, Malaysia, definitely near the top.
I prefer the Nürburgring over Hockenheim.
Oh, big statement.
I really do. I mean, the full track is incredible, but in terms of the Grand Prix layout, it just works as a circuit, and I really, really like it. Kyalami gets mentioned in chat a lot as well, and I think the fact there's this big fan festival or whatever they're calling it going on in South Africa in, is it April, end of March, somewhere around there?
So, yeah.
I think that's a signal of intent from Liberty Media to at least discuss the possibility of South Africa returning to the calendar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it might be a street circuit, but at least it's something. Actually, what happened with Brazil? Is that got a new contract? Because I remember they were talking about that street circuit there, weren't they? And then it's kind of gone quiet again.
Well, it's funny because they talk about moving the race to Rio for this year. That got put to bed pretty quickly by the fact that it was like, well, no, Interlagos is staying, whatever you want to call the track. I call it Interlagos. It's got multiple names. But I quite like the look of the Rio track. But first of all, that's only CGI renders and all that. We don't know if it's actually going to be any good. But if we lose Interlagos, I'm going to riot.
I think most people would.
If you want to race in Rio, that's fine. But you do it as a back-to-back with the normal Brazilian Grand Prix, normal one, the proper one, the real one. Because that track is fantastic. You never know what's going to happen with the weather. Cliche alert for that weekend before we get round to it. I really think... Yeah. I'm trying not to get annoyed. I would get so angry if we lost Interlagos. It is one of my... What on earth? Is your stream a bit behind, Dan?
It is, so I'm looking forward to what you've just reacted to. I think it's a minute or so behind, so I will keep an eye.
If you're not watching, it's a guy in a bright red suit with red and white trainers and an
I see
Italian bow tie. I mean,
That's
first of
not as
all,
bad as I was expecting.
I'm not poking fun because that is passion. That is brilliant. We want to see, that's F1 fans to a T, isn't it? Like properly passionate about their teams and their drivers in the sport. But also, wow. I mean, I can't decide, Dan, if I really, really hate that or if I want to go and order mine.
I mean, I think the bow tie
I mean,
makes it
yeah.
great. If it didn't have the bow tie, I wouldn't be too sure. But that's the icing on the cake.
Bow ties are cool. Would you get a Union flag one?
Mm,
Or a
I wouldn't
Malaysia
take
one?
it. I wouldn't take it to a European race if I had a Union Jack one.
Oh, no. Like I'm not going to get into like Brexit and all that or
No,
talk too
sorry.
much about Eurovision, but there was an advert the other day that on Thursday they were announcing the UK's Eurovision entry, and I went, and I just said to my half, and I was like, look, we never stand a chance in Eurovision, but do we really think that we stand a chance this year? Because Europe are just going to look at us like, get out. Why are you even here? We don't want to talk to you for at least 6 years. But yeah, that'll be an interesting Saturday, I must say. Anyway, let's avoid Eurovision before I start throwing off stuff that I shouldn't. But yes, very passionate. For me, Ferrari fans are pretty passionate, aren't they? I think it's fair to say, the old Tifosi. So good to see they're in Barcelona supporting the team. They might need it this year, although Seb, as he's saying, don't panic, it's only testing.
I hope the Grand Prix goes ahead. That'd be a big shame if that one gets cancelled.
Oh, Monza. I think it should be okay. Because
I think it's close by though. Is all the towns that have been, I was going to say put in lockdown. I think that's the right word. So it's a little bit touch and go, I think.
I'm not making light of it. Andras just saying, do people really care about Eurovision? Don't care about the result, mate, but I'm going to say that because we're never going to win it. But it's a very good night of drinking, rubbish food, and just having a laugh. So yes, but I think I was just going to say, as Marcus said in chat, it's 7 months away yet.
True.
September. So I think.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it was
Tomorrow.
No, well, thanks, mate. Otherwise, I just kind of assume it's part of the European season, which is like June. Yeah, September. That is quite a way away.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the European season. We just get that break in the middle, don't we, for the summer? But we've got I said this morning, if it was the first race of the season, Italy would be cancelled. End of.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. But I think we should be okay. Second half of the season for stuff like that. But I've got this horrible feeling. And I don't want to go back into this because I know people are sort of like, oh, people are just panicking over it, and I get that. But from an F1 perspective, we have to acknowledge it because we've had a race suspended and there could be others. But I've just got this horrible feeling that like F1 might be like, look, we're not going to get any races for the first few months, and then just try and cram it all into 5 months at the end or something like that. And teams will be like, no, we can't do this. Equally, though, a race every week for a few months, I'd be quite up for that. I mean, it's practically every week now, isn't it, really? But 2 weeks to Australia, then a week until Bahrain, then, assuming it goes ahead, 2 weeks to Vietnam, and then spring break. Woo! That's what I'm going to call it, spring break, because that's technically what it is. But yeah, I don't know. We talked about it quite a bit this morning about the coronavirus and what might get stopped and what might get postponed and what might get whatever. But what I would say, and we didn't mention this morning, is I think what the situation in Italy confirms is that Imola will not replace China in April. So there you go.
I don't really think it's needed either. I don't think we need a replacement. I mean, we've got more than enough races. So yes, it's a bit of a gap, but I don't think Formula One should go out of their way, if that kind of makes sense, to try and rush in a replacement last minute.
Paul says, "Are we allowed in Eurovision after Brexit?" Yeah, I mean, I was going to be like, I don't mean it to come across as patronising or anything like that, so please don't take it that way, but we're still in Europe when we leave the EU. But my point was actually going to be Australia are in Eurovision. And they're not even, I think they're not even in the same hemisphere. Do you know what I mean? Let alone the same continent. So I think Eurovision has gone from being a singing contest for Europe and just a brand. I'm just waiting for America and all that to get involved. And oh, good Lord. That could be fun. But anyway, enough about Eurovision. Stop it. That was that. That is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you very much. EBU members can participate in Eurovision. That's the acronym I was looking for. So there you go. We've done Eurovision. What's next? Doctor Who.
Indeed.
Well, we'll get on to that, I'm sure, this week. What's going on out there? Charles Leclerc. Oh, still quiet, Dan. Bottas, Perez, and Leclerc. That's it. It really is a weird afternoon. Let's have a look on Twitter, see what's going on down at the old Renault. I'd imagine they're not telling us anything. Well, that's French. I'm not even going to try and read that. Probably because I went to the French feed. Probably not my smartest move there. Trying to work out. Nothing from Renault officially. So, yeah. I don't know. And Ricciardo, if you want to talk about speculation, Daniel Ricciardo has said in a racefans.net interview, staying at Renault would be the ideal scenario. I'm going to say it, Dan. I think we said this last week. I don't think much is going to change this driver market at all. I really don't.
Oh, I'm in. I think the lower end of the midfield will move around quite a bit. I think there'll be at least one change at Haas. I think at
K-Mag.
least one change. Yeah, K-Mag, of course. I think one, if not two, of the Alpha boys might get moved on, depending how Schumacher, Eilert, Schwartzman do in F2. I think Kvyat, I'd like to see him given a chance outside the Red Bull Academy. So I think there'll be a few changes, but I think the real headline changes people were expecting, I think that will not quite come to fruition.
See, I think AlphaTauri hold the key here, you know. If they decide to, for argument's sake, give Juri Vips a go, then Daniel Kvyat might find himself out of a seat and could end up at Haas, and that might trigger Magnussen to go elsewhere or Grosjean to go elsewhere and all of that. But I think if Renault will stick, if what Ricciardo's saying is true, mainly because I think there's nowhere else for Ricciardo to go, I cannot see any reason why McLaren would want to change their driver lineup. I think Ferrari look like they're going to stick from all the reports back in January. Red Bull, who knows who's going to sit alongside Verstappen. I think Mercedes are going to stick as well. I suspect Latifi might be on a couple of years at Williams with the money he brings. We'll see. I think the big question is the two Alphas, really. Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. What's Kimi Raikkonen going to do? And could Red Bull give one of their youngsters a go, which might shuffle the grid? But if they all stick, Haas, other than going out and fetching Hulkenberg, which I don't think they will, because if they wanted Hulkenberg, they would have signed him for this year, we might end up with pretty much what we've got. And I think you as a Grosjean fan would be delighted, but probably also quite shocked, Dan, from conversations we've had off stream. I think it was, we had a conversation last year where you were like, I'm to be honest, I'm stunned he's still in F1 now.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought that K-Mag and Grosjean were going to be moved on last year, especially with Hulkenberg in the market. I feel like that's an absolute steal for a team like Haas. I'm missing Hulkenberg so far. I know some people have completely forgotten him, but I do miss him. And I think if Raikkonen does retire, I think he would be a good option for Alfa Romeo. I think bringing that experience, even if Schumacher and Schwartzman, say, did really, really well, I think bringing one, have an experienced driver to, I don't want to say train them up, but I definitely think Raikkonen's helped Gio this year. So I think with Grosjean, it's one of those things where I think he's underrated, which I'm probably slightly biased there, but I also think there is better drivers out there, and I think if Haas are looking to be one of those team that jumps the pack and maybe really benefits from this regulation change, I think they might need to do at least one switch, if not two switches with that lineup.
I think for Alfa Romeo, what intrigues me is what happens if Kimi retires and Ferrari want to put a Schwartzman or a Schumacher in their seat in that team. Are Alfa likely to give Gio a seat if he has a half decent season, or are they more likely to go and look at, again, sorry to bring his name up, everyone, it's all you're going to hear all year, it's the Wehrlein thing again, or maybe they'll go get the experience of Hulkenberg to replace him if Kimi retires. As somebody said in chat, Samar said Kimi isn't retiring. I don't think he will. I just got this feeling he's here forever. I just wonder what they might do with Gio, because he really improved. What was that result in the Chamber predictions thing? He's like over 1,000% or something, wasn't he, up on his points in the second half of the season? So he had a much better second half of the year, and if he can carry that into this year, would that be enough? Because I think you said before, he's not a young driver, is he, Gio? It's only his second full season, but he's not young, so he's still relatively experienced.
I think he's about 26, something like that. So, I mean, he's not old. He's not your age. But I think he needs a really strong season if he wants to stay in F1. I like Gio. I remember, without throwing you under the bus too much, but you and Jonty, I think, were quite critical before he came back to F1.
Skeptical.
I think, okay, yeah, that's probably a better word. There you are. You've saved yourself. But I think I was a little bit too optimistic. I think he kind of fell in between all of our opinions. So I think if he wants to stay, I feel he needs to get the better of Raikkonen. I mean, Raikkonen's, bless him, not a spring chicken anymore. He's still not a bad driver, but I still think if you want to prove yourself in F1, you're going to have to at least be competitive week in, week out, which, to be fair to Gio, he was in the second half of the season last year. So if he can get the ball rolling quickly, if he beats Raikkonen in the points, I don't see why Alfa wouldn't keep him on. But then if Ferrari continue to make Alfa more of a B team, maybe they go with 2 Ferrari seats and bring in 2 young drivers from F2. Just, I suppose it depends on how well they all do in F2.
Here's a question that will fill the next 10 minutes or so, or probably narrowing us down, probably the next 12 hours. And remember, we're not supposed to be live anymore. Do get involved as well, chat. VK97 Gaming, who do you guys think will win each of the internal team battles? Yes. Let's do this.
Cool. Nice.
Nobody. It's all going to be a draw. So we'll go with points rather than qualifying, because that'll be impossible to call. We'll start with Mercedes. It's got to be Hamilton for me, I would expect.
I agree, but is there anyone out there that expects Bottas? Because I feel a little bit mean not picking Bottas, but I've got my sensible hat on, and it's surely got to be Hamilton.
I think sensible head on Hamilton, but without people accusing us of Hamilton hate, it would also be quite cool to see Bottas do it. It'd be pretty amazing. But probably for the title between those two, if they were to go that close. But I think Hamilton, surely, in that one. I mean, what? Mercedes looks strong again. He's going for title number 7. He's coming back this year as a machine, or whatever he said. I think Bottas will be closer again. I think he will. But I just don't... We kind of touched on this morning. I don't think he's there to beat Hamilton. He's there to pick up the points and help them to constructors and effectively play that number 2 role. I'm not saying that if he's in the title fight, Mercedes will tell him to hop out of the way. But I think if the gap's, 30, 35, 40 points, he's going to be playing that second fiddle. But I definitely think closer than last year. It was 80-odd points behind his teammate. Kind of needs to be closer, doesn't he? More than anything. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be closer. I think... I still have this gut
Closer
feeling
than
that Red Bull...
points. Whatever it was. Hang on, I'm going to do the maths for you.
That's right. I just feel if Red Bull are going to be closer, Verstappen's going to be challenging, I feel they might have to sacrifice Valtteri a little bit more. So I'd like to think on pace he's a bit closer, and that consistency that I think has been growing, I'd like to see. But I just think he'll be sacrificed a little bit more.
87 points was the gap.
Oh, you're pretty close.
Yeah, I just think that's a big gap.
It is. I think he's got an extra season, though. I don't think he's going at the end of... Because I think both Ocon and Russell are locked into contracts, so he's got a bit of time. But yeah, I just think if Mercedes really want to secure that 7th title, I think they'll do everything to secure it. Even like a couple of years ago in Russia when it was Hamilton versus Vettel for the title, they very easily could have given Valtteri that win, but they
Mm.
just like to make extra sure. And I just have a gut feeling a similar kind of thing will happen this year.
What about Ferrari then? This is because I think this is one of the toughest on the grid to call.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree.
I obviously Leclerc took it last year. I'd like to think with another year's experience under his belt, he's going to be strong again this year. But I think from a personal perspective, I'd quite like Seb to beat him. Not because I don't like Charles, but just because I think Seb could do with a season where he silences the doubters and the critics. Obviously, and I will always say this, the criticism is often well-deserved for silly things that he's done in recent years. But I think it will be a good year for him to keep his nose clean, beat his teammate, maybe get involved in the title fight, and then people might just go, actually, he's all right, and he is Seb. So I think from a personal perspective, quite like Seb, but I think Leclerc's the boy they're backing, and I think he's probably going to do it. Don't hold me to that, though. Do not come back to this stream and check these answers. Annette's there writing them all down so you can hold them against us later.
Yeah, timestamp this. I think I agree again, to be honest. I mean, I think Vettel will do much better this year. And actually, this is off the top of my head. Yeah, I think this is the first time he's had a new teammate and then stayed at a team. You know, we saw him when Ricardo came in. He obviously moved to Ferrari. So this is his first real chance, in my mind anyway. He's going to have an opportunity to kind of fight back and prove himself to be the better of the drivers. So I'll look forward to that. Seeing a bit of fire in Seb's belly this year. But like you, I think they're definitely going to be aiming more towards Leclerc as the future champion as Ferrari. And if last year he did such a good job with some mistakes, you know, he wasn't without his flaws last season. But going into last season, the big criticisms were that he wasn't good at qualifying. And he came out of the year with the most pole positions of anybody. And that was supposed to be Seb's strength. So if Charles can improve on his little mistakes in quali, but also and in the race, which they weren't major, I don't think they're stupidly massive issues. I think he could pick up a few more points. And if Seb can just keep a little bit more of a cool head at times, he can pick up a few more points. So I think Charles will get it, but like you, it toughest one to call, I think. And it would be nice for Seb to have a real go at the title, even if this isn't his last year at Ferrari. It would be nice to see him bounce back in some kind of form.
Good news. Esteban Ocon is out on track for Renault. So whatever the issues are, they've sorted them. He's on track for the first time this afternoon. He's lost a couple of hours there, Dan. Not
Was
great
this an
for
issue
him.
this morning? Sorry.
Sorry?
Was this an issue from this morning? From Ricardo?
No. Well, maybe something that carried over, but Ricardo put in some good laps, 53, but then this is the first time he's been out this afternoon at all. So there must have been something they found in the lunch break. If anyone in chat knows, let me know. But I've not seen anything on Twitter from Renault officially. So I'll keep an eye on that one. Just also a very quick update. Vietnam, this is from Scott Mitchell, at Scott Mitchell F1 or S Mitchell F1. Says the Vietnam Grand Prix track is finished. I already knew that one. And then speculating about the coronavirus. But the update for that is Vietnam organisers sending a very clear message that organisers saying preparations going ahead according to the set schedule, and the F1 race in Hanoi in 2020 will take place as planned. Situation monitored closely in case anything needs to change, but that's their position. So the word coming officially on Vietnam is it's still happening. But as we said this morning, this is an evolving situation, and it might have to be taken on a day-by-day basis. So at the moment, going ahead as planned, but we'll keep an eye on that. But yes, there you go. Good news for Ocon. He's out there. Where did we get to? We did Ferrari, didn't we? I mean, is this Red Bull? I love Alex Albon, and I'd love him to do it. But no, it's Verstappen, surely. It's his team. They're going to back him all the way. Albon's there to do a job. What Albon just needs to do is get closer in qualifying and pick up the points to help them in the Constructors. A bit like Bottas in a way in the races, but I can't see this going unless he has some horrible reliability. I cannot see this going any other way than a comfortable Max Verstappen win.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate a little bit, I mean, Alex, for a time, after he joined after the summer break, for a time, was beating Verstappen in the points head to
Mm-hmm.
head. So it's not completely out of the. I can't do it. I, I mean, because in that period, Verstappen did have some absolutely rotten luck. But yeah, I think Verstappen's at a place in his career now where I feel he's able to fight for a championship. He's got that team wrapped around his little finger. Alex is coming in only in his second year of Formula One, still with a lot to learn. His first full year with a top team. So I think their goals, I think for Alex is just to be sixth. And I know that sounds a little bit silly, but Pierre really struggled with that. So if Alex can just be consistent, like you say, improve over the year, that's his target. Whereas I think Max will be aiming for victory. So yeah, I think that's a pretty straightforward one.
I think consistency is a good word for Max. Not for Max, sorry, for Alex Albon. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. It feels weird going into this season for Albon because you've got all this speculation already over his seat, and we've not even got into the season. He's not even had a full season. We go, oh, should Gasly have been dropped? Will Kvyat get a chance? What are they going to do? Will they go and get somebody else? And will he be dropped mid-season? I think if he can just come out, he's had half a season with the main team now, so I kind of feel like there's no excuses because he's had that half a season, whereas Gasly was straight in for Australia pretty much, obviously testing and whatnot. But he's had half season. He's had a full winter now. So he's done his testing, he's done all his simulator work. I think the problem for Albon, whatever he does, he's not going to beat Max in my view, and that gap is never going to be a couple of hundredths. So he's going up against an impossible teammate, isn't he? If you know what I mean. Definitely. So it's going to be really hard to judge him. And you can't really compare him to where Gasly was at the same time last year because that car is completely different. It's a better car than it was at the start of the season. But I think consistency is probably the best word, Dan. And if he can do that and just get close, a couple of tenths off in quali, I think that'll be a good job. But Red Bull are very limited, aren't they, if Albon doesn't work out? Because I still don't think Fiat will get back in that car. I really don't. Are they going to go back with Gasly and backtrack again on Pierre? And it's really... Albon kind of has to work for them, doesn't he? Because if he goes, they've got egg on their face either way.
Yeah, and it's weird because they've got three really strong drivers there, and all three of them, I think, would be great at most of the teams on the grid. But for whatever reason, and it's yet to be seen with Alex, really, but they just can't live up to the levels of Max Verstappen. And I suppose that's because Max Verstappen is a pretty good driver. Understatement of the year. But yeah, I think Gasly proved in the second half of the year last year he's got speed. He's a strong driver, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And actually, he wasn't great in testing last year. He crashed, I think, twice, which is, I mean, even Grosjean doesn't do that. He doesn't crash, touch wood, in testing. So I think that put him on the back foot straight away. So at least Alex so far has had a pretty comfortable winter testing. But I do think Danny, if it doesn't work out, I think he deserves another shot. I think he was really quite good in that Red Bull. And I think that the first half of his comeback last year, he was really good. It was only once Pierre came back in the team, I don't think it was quite as visible as performances. But they've got three strong drivers there. I don't think they need to be too worried. But like you say, Helmut Marko especially, they really hate going back on their own decisions and biting the bullet. So it's going to be an interesting one. And for them, for sure, they're going to hope Alex really pays off and develops to be at minimum, a strong number two driver, which I think he will be. So time will tell. But I think they don't need to worry too much. It's not as if they've got no drivers coming through the system like we saw a couple of years ago where, no offense to Brendan Hartley, but they had to bring Hartley in, which probably wasn't the ideal situation for them.
Maybe Vips will get a go. I keep mentioning him. We'll see what he can do this year in Super Formula or wherever he's racing. Somebody wanted an update on Merck. I'll go through the times in a minute. Bottas did just go straight on at the hairpin. That's as exciting as it gets in testing. A little bit straight on. He was okay. Kept going. He's still out there putting the laps in. What's he done so far? 45 laps. So he's already, half of what Hamilton did this morning. So plenty of time. And that is the halfway point. So it looks like Merck getting the laps in today. Ocon's out there as well. Run through the tyres and then we'll carry on with this, I was going to say predictions thing, but don't take it as predictions. We're pretty
take
clueless.
it as a mess.
Robert Kubica, obviously still top of the times from this morning, 16.953 laps. Pierre Gasly, 17.5 second from this morning, 25 laps. Alexander Albon did 29 laps, 17.5 again from this morning, and Lewis Hamilton, 17.5, 89 laps this morning, and Lance Stroll, 17.7 on 43 laps this morning. If you're just joining us, Kubica did his lap on the C5, Gasly on the C4, Albon on the C2. Breathe, Sean. Hamilton on the C2 and Stroll on the C3. Max Verstappen is first of the afternoon runners, a 1:18.0 on 41 laps. Valtteri Bottas 1:18.1 on 45 laps. Vettel was this morning on a 1:18.1, 84 laps on the C3 tyre. There we go. Sergio Perez 18.2, 45 laps. He's running this afternoon. Ricciardo this morning 18.2, 53 laps on the C2 tyres. Sainz 1:18.2, 46 laps. That was again this morning on the C3 tyres. Latifi this morning, a 1:18.3, 48 laps. He was on the C4. And Charles Leclerc this afternoon so far, a 1:18.4, 42 laps. I will say, Vettel had a spin. Kubica had a spin. And Latifi had a car issue, which is why Russell was a little bit later out. Let's just scroll that down a little bit so you can all see what's going on. Get rid of the advert or get into trouble. What's going on elsewhere. Daniel Kvyat for AlphaTauri, 1:18.5, 25 laps. 15th is Grosjean on a 1:18.6, 72 laps for Rogro. So he's pumping them in the pits at the moment, I think. Yes, he is. George Russell, 1:19.1, 19 laps this afternoon so far. Kimi Raikkonen, 1:19.8, 19 laps. Lando Norris, 1:20.1, 26 laps. And Esteban Ocon has just gone out 7 laps, 23.5, last for Renault at the moment. But that could well change, or you'd expect it to change. No word on what Ocon's issue was. Russell was obviously some changes going on the car. I think they changed the power unit after Latifi's issues this morning. But not really much going on out there. Ocon, Raikkonen, Russell, Bottas and Verstappen all out there just sort of putting in some steady laps. I think is that the hard tyre, C2 on Verstappen's car. So not expecting too many amazing laps at the moment. Hopefully someone will stick a set of C5s on and give us an exciting time at some point. Everybody has swapped drivers today in terms of teams, apart from Haas, who are sticking with Romain Grosjean all day. So Kevin Magnussen is in the car tomorrow. And then the final part of this, before we get back to our little predictions thing, please do consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Like I said this morning, not usually a live stream channel, but back to videos next week. So yes, please do subscribe if you're up for that. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream. And if you would like to contribute as well, links to PayPal, Super Chat and Streamlabs and all of that are in the chat. We hit that donation goal last week. I've popped it up a little bit to see if we can get some more in, but it's all cool. If not, that's just for a few extra upgrades if I can. But yeah, always appreciated every contribution. So thank you so much to those who contributed last week and those that have contributed so far today. Live with Dan. Woohoo. And then I've got Stuart with me tomorrow morning, Geordie Jordan and Mike from F1 Fanatics tomorrow afternoon. And then I've got Stuart and Aldas with me on Friday. So that should be an interesting one. Where did we get to, Dan? We did Red Bull, didn't we? So
We did.
Are we just going to go down the championship order, do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
That would mean McLaren. Listen at me. What do you reckon? That's another one that's a tough one to call. Norris versus Sainz.
It is. You're making me go first. That's criminal. That's
I've just done all that talk.
It's very true. I think this is as difficult as the Ferrari one, because I will 100% get the argument that Sainz is in his 6th season of F1, I think it is. And last year, he definitely was that team leader. But Norris was a rookie last year. And he definitely had more than his fair share of bad luck within the team. Sainz also had some issues that weren't his fault, but I definitely think Norris, his points tally wasn't representative of the actual season as a whole. So I think it'll be much, much closer. And I think this is one of those head to heads where I think one result will just completely flip this on its head. So my gut feeling say Science, but it wouldn't be a mega surprise if Lando was able to do it because he's going to have that extra year experience. He knows all the tracks now. He knows the team a little bit more. He's going to have more input on the car, I would imagine, this year. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Chili Master, but I think old Milk Boy isn't far away.
Oh, Milk Boy. Oh, my God. I'm not really sure how to take that. I think it's tough because we still don't know what to expect from Lando, do we? Because this is only his second season. And he did beat Sainz in qualifying last year, as we keep telling everybody. If I were a betting man and wanted to play safe, I would go Sainz. I think that experience is going to be important. He was a machine last year. This is so tough. I will say this, and I try not to bite back. Joshua in chat. If it's better on Twitch, mate, go watch it on Twitch. Anyway, I think probably Sainz. If I was going to gut feeling, would be Sainz on that one. I kind of want to go Norris though, just to kind of. I'll go Sainz. I just kind of want to go Norris just to mix it up a little bit, but common sense is telling me Carlos will do it. I think it's not going to get any easier in his midfield either, is it?
Nope, definitely not.
Who's next? Renault. Christ. I've got a good feeling about Ocon. I think he's going to have a good season. I think he's going to get closer to Ricciardo than some people are predicting, but he ain't going to beat him, in my opinion. So I think Ricciardo at Renault, but don't expect Ocon to be a million miles away. Having said that, I sat here last year, probably on a stream very similar to this, saying the words, Gasly will be closer to Verstappen than some people are predicting. That went well.
I mean, there were probably some people that thought he was going to be further away. So,
maybe.
Unlikely.
I think, I think Ricciardo will have that one, but don't write off poor Esteban already. He's got a point to prove this year, a big point to prove. And he's miffed that he missed out on the season as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about Esteban Ocon. It doesn't. I know we've had a year without Esteban, but I feel like I've not seen enough to really warrant a big opinion of him. Because I think, like we saw with Carlos Sainz last year, well, we didn't see Carlos Sainz. They never fancied
I was going to say they never showed him.
I feel that's what we had with Esteban Ocon, because the only time the cameras ever really picked up what was going on
was when Perez was hitting him.
Yes, when Perez was hitting him or Verstappen was hitting him. So I agree with you. I think he's definitely got a point to prove. And whilst it looks like Russell's got that Mercedes seat pretty much in the bag when Bottas moves on, or Hamilton, whichever one, I think Ocon isn't completely out of the running. And I think if he can beat Ricciardo, which I'm leaning towards, I don't think he will, but if he can, that's a big statement from a young driver. So he'll be raring to go. I just think if Hulkenberg wasn't able to beat Ricciardo, and Hulkenberg has been there several seasons, and Ricciardo did struggle early on in that Renault, I struggled to see Ocon doing it. But it will be interesting to see that one, because I think that is one of the biggest unknowns on the grid, is how quickly Ocon's going to be able to jump straight back into it and get going. Because, I mean, he did do testing with Mercedes last year. He did do a few bits and bobs. But yeah, I think Ricciardo's got this one pretty much nailed on. And I think also Ricciardo will have a better season this year than he did last year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it couldn't be much worse, could it? That being said, I think he did really well when you look at his points tally and that, given the problems they had. But yeah. that was as far as that point was going, mate. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't. I get why people are like about Ocon, but I think he's better than he's given credit for. But I said this to Aldas last Friday. He's better than some people give him credit for, but he's not as good as other people give him credit for.
Yeah, I find myself like in between. Yeah.
But I think most people say Ricardo. I might be wrong. Chat have probably all gone Ocon just to spite me. Who was next? AlphaTauri. Ugh. That's a wow. I wasn't expecting to struggle with that one. Do you think Gasly? Just it's again. It's another one that could be very close.
I think on paper, I would probably go for Kvyat, but considering the second half of last season, Gasly, even though he hadn't been with that team, he'd been at Red Bull struggling. He did super well, was clearly the better of the two. So, off of his form from the end of last season, and of course that awesome podium in Brazil, I'm leaning more towards Gasly. But again, this very easily one big result could really swap this one. And in a midfield that's going to be even tighter, I kind of see AlphaTauri as one of those teams on the bubble, the lower end of the top 10. So points I think will be quite hard to come by for them. I think Gasly is the cleaner of the two drivers, and I think that might help him out a little bit this year. So yeah, I think Gasly for this one.
It's difficult looking at last year's stats because Gasly's stats are skewed because his points tally would not have been that high had he not had half a season at Red Bull. But it's difficult to sort of say, well, you know, most of that points gain in the second half was because of the podium, but Kvyat also had a podium in Germany. It was quite, like I say, it was quite a skewed thing last year because we got that shock podium for Kvyat in Germany, then the shock one for Albon, and he had half a year at a Red Bull. But I do agree at the second half of the season when he was back at Toro Rosso, he was far better than I think I expected him to do. I expected a couple of races of sulking. Well, sulking sounds really harsh, you know what I mean? Just been a little bit flat. But I think I've got to go Gasly. It is hard though, as Sam was just said in chat. This is a hard one. It's a very difficult one, and it could even end up being a shootout for a Red Bull seat if it doesn't work out with Albon. So tough one. But let's move on from AlphaTauri. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk myself out of picking Gasly. Who came up next? Racing Point. I mean, this is the toughest of them all, Dan. I mean,
yeah, I forgot about this one. This is difficult.
Stroll will win in qualifying. We already know that. He'll destroy Perez in the races. I mean, he's just relentless, that boy. You watch him do it now.
I mean, Stroll. This is a bit of a random, slightly off topic, but who do you think's more likely to be involved in a crash out of the two Racing Point drivers?
Perez.
So maybe if we believe the media, which is never a good thing, and Racing Point are fourth, maybe Stroll gets it over the line more. I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate again. This is silly. Perez every day of the week.
Perez 52 points last year. Lance Stroll 21, and that included a fourth place finish. Perez's best finish.
Perez did crash in that race in Germany. To be fair, Stroll, even though Stroll wasn't having the best race, apart from a good little pit stop at the end, but credit where credit's due. I'll give Stroll that one.
I want to go Stroll just to be a git, but I've got to, if we're doing this honestly and not just trying to be controversial and try and get people interested, Perez. But if you want to hold me something at the end of the year, Stroll will be within 15 points of Perez at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. I think it'll be a bit bigger than that, but yeah, I'll hold you to that.
I like Stroll. I know there's like me, his dad, and like his great uncle Barry or something are probably the only ones that actually do like him. And Ellie likes Stroll as well. But I do like Lance. I know he's a little sod sometimes over the radio, but He gets a bad rep. I get it, pay
Definitely.
drivers, blah 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 blah. But yeah, he is what he's here forever. He is here until either his dad sells a team or he moves into sheltered housing or something. I don't know. He's not going anywhere, is he? So, yeah, we'll have to get used to him. He's all right. He's all right, as Lance. Who's next? What we've done Racing Points. That'll be Alfa Romeo. I'm doing this without even looking at a list. This is stupid. I'm missing something, I'm sure. Alfa Romeo, Kimi, I think. Although Gio was really good. Second half of the season, out-qualified Kimi a few times. It's very hard to look away from, first of all, the fact that Kimi's a quick guy, but also he's got about 63 years of experience in F1. And that's going to count for something, isn't it? So I'm going to have to get Kimi at Alpha. I said that so negatively, didn't I? Like I don't like Kimi. I've never liked him.
I think I might go the other way. I think Gio might get this one. And I'm kind of basing that off the second half of last season, but he came on leaps and bounds after that summer break. I have no idea what happened. But straight away in Spa, I mean, he crashed out on the very last lap, but that was a mighty performance that weekend, and Kimi was nowhere. And actually, I don't think Kimi scored in Abu Dhabi. I think Kimi only scored in Brazil in the second half of the year, which is a little bit alarming. Whether that was Kimi, just enjoying himself for the second half, I'm not really too sure. But I think it's a little bit like we said earlier. I think Gio's got a point to prove this year. He is fighting for his seat. A little bit lucky to keep it this year. So a lot's on the line. Raikkonen, it could be his last year. It might not. He might want to keep going forever, like you've said. But I don't know. I just think Gio has that little bit more need and desire to get a big result this year. And I think if he can even just improve slightly from last season, I think he'll just have the edge.
I just can't see him doing it. And I totally get the point you're making about the second half of the season, but yeah, Kimi had a rough second half of the year, but he had that crash with Verstappen, whoever you want to blame that on. That affected him there. There was
True.
Fiat torpedoed him at Singapore. I can't remember what happened at Mexico, to be fair. But he did have a lot of bad luck and a lot of incidents in that second half of the season. And I mean, look, Giovinazzi picked up 14 points last year, Raikkonen 43. I expect Gio to get more than 14 points, which is great. And that midfield's going to be so close, and maybe Kimi will pick up fewer. But I still think over the course of a season, Kimi will do it. I mean, if you put them in one race together, Gio's got a shot. But if we're doing a full season, I just think Kimi's going to be too consistent for him. But I'd love to be wrong, because I think Gio, first of all, I don't rate him as highly as you do, but I think he's a little bit underrated. But equally, I don't think he's that spectacular. He's a really nice guy from the interviews I've seen and that, but I just don't think he's all that amazing. He's good, but
I see. I need to be careful here because I don't want to anger too many people, Kimi fans. I don't rate Gio super highly. I really think he's going to, if he really wants to keep his seat, I think he's going to have to comfortably beat Kimi. And I definitely don't think that'll be the case. I think this will, again, I think it'll be, I see Alpha as one of the lower teams on the grid this year. And I'd like to be proved wrong. I think this could be a really interesting battle if these two were both picking up points on a regular basis. It'd be quite a unique story on the grid. But yeah, I think this is my more rogue pick. I think people will agree with that. But yeah, you can't ignore the experience of Raikkonen and what he was able to do in that first half of the season, where the car wasn't fantastic, but he was picking up points on a regular basis. I got to concede that, yeah, it's probably more likely it'll be Kimi, but I'm going to be rogue and say Gio.
Annette and Dan in chat, don't worry, I've got it. Streamlabs has updated. We're just going to finish this and I'm coming to the super chat. I have got it, don't worry. It's on my thing on super chat. Don't panic. I'm on it, sort of. About as on it as I ever am. 2 more to go. We'll do these and I'll come to that, don't worry. Haas.
Easy.
Magnussen.
Wrong.
Go on then. I don't know why I'm asking.
Right. Australia. If Grosjean's tyres don't fall off, he finishes in front of Magnussen and finishes the season on more points than Magnussen. Now, Grosjean should have been in front. Magnussen bashes him off in Spain, loses points. Car breaks down when he's in front of the midfield in Brazil, loses points. He can't have that much bad luck this year. So it's going to be Grosjean, easy. The qualifying head-to-heads, I think Magnussen got it, but it was one of the closest on the grid. So, yeah. And also, I'm saying it now, this is my crazy prediction of the year. Grosjean's getting a podium in Singapore. So that's gonna throw him up a few places as well. So easy, Grosjean.
Oh, sorry if you finished. Sorry.
I can keep going.
I'll be honest, mate. I think you were trying to convince yourself there.
Never.
If I put on my I've got to banter Dan head, Magnussen all the way. But you're right. You're right in what you're saying over last year. If Haas managed to, work a wheel gun properly, he'd be in a much better position. He had the contact at Silverstone and Spain with Magnussen. He had a lot. I think he was the unluckiest. I mean, no, I think Kubica and Russell were the unluckiest. They were driving a Williams, but he's got to be on the top of the list of unlucky drivers for 2019.
I mean, to be fair, K-Mag also had his fair share of unlucky because he did qualify some really strong positions. Austria P5 ended up fighting at the back with the Williams. This is me trying to be sensible here, which is very hard to do. But I think both of them, it's so hard to judge both of them last year because that car was an absolute dog in the race. It was atrocious. But I mean, was I ever going to pick anyone else than Grosjean?
No. But I don't. I mean, I think it'd be another one that's very close, of course. But I mean, even despite his problems, he was only 12 points off in the end. I agree with what David said in chat that I think Magnussen will be more consistent than Grosjean, but neither driver are particularly consistent, generally speaking, anyway.
True, yeah.
I'll go just because you've gone Grosjean, I'll go Magnussen because I kind of have to, don't I? If I go back in Grosjean, that's it. I've lost. I have to be nice to you then. So, final team, Williams. Can we see this going any way other than Russell?
I mean, Kubica beat him last year. Somehow.
Oh, bog off. Oh, wait, no, we are talking points, aren't we? No, good point. Actually, no, don't bog off. You're right, Dan. Please stay. Don't leave me.
I'm not wrong. Yes, I think it will be the big G, Ross.
But the point you've just made, if that Williams is still cut adrift at the back, which I'm hoping it won't be, but if it is, and there's only one shot at points and Latifi gets that, yeah, it's not impossible.
What in the teeth that would be.
I mean, what I know that German Grand Prix result was there's an element of luck there, but you have to be there to capitalise on that luck. Who had that on their bingo card for testing live? There we go. But what would it say about George if he lost to Kubica and Latifi?
Not a lot, I don't think.
Do you not think? Do you think that car is that bad that it is just about data?
I mean, cutting aside some biased fans on either side of the Williams team last year, I don't think you'd find many people saying Kubica did a better job than Russell last year. So I think if a similar thing happens this year, I mean, yeah, if Latifi's right there with him, quali head-to-head's close, and Latifi does get more points, then I think, yeah, a lot of credit will go Latifi's way. But I think last year, no one's saying Kubica was better than Russell, at least from my side and what I've seen. So, sure, it's not ideal, but I don't think many things within that Williams situation is ideal at the moment.
I think it has to be, Russell for me. Just to clarify that, I think I was pretty clear. But yeah, Russell for me on that one. But I think what we're looking forward to this year is that it could be very close throughout that midfield. And I'm not quietly confident. I keep saying it, so it's not quiet anymore, is it? I am confident that Williams are going to have a far better season than they had last year. And I think I can't say it because it's in Stuart's prediction video. I really want to, but I can't. Watch Chain Bear's prediction video at the weekend. We are in it. Me and him have a bet because I make a claim that people are going to think I'm absolutely bloody nuts for. But yeah, Dan calling me an ignoramus, not you. You call me that off stream. But I am coming to you. Don't worry for your question, but I'm just rounding this bit off. But yeah, I'm confident Williams. Oh, Max Verstappen having a spin. Is that a third spin testing so far? Not today, obviously. Was that today? It was in the background, yes, it was today. Again, on his way to that chicane, that final chicane. That's 3 times he's lost it at that corner, I'm sure it is. Again, across the 4 days of testing. So, pushing some limits, Max, it must be said. But yeah, there you go. Let's go find his question then so that Dan leaves me alone and stops bullying me. It's not nice being bullied, is it, Dan? Do you think Ferrari have screwed themselves by improving last year's car instead of going for something new like Merc and Red Bull? Thank you very much for your contribution, mate. Andy called me an ignoramus because he wants a spanner. Or a wrench, sorry, a wrench. Yeah. It goes back to that, what we were saying about this morning. What we're talking about this morning, in that, is this a bit of a throwaway season for some things? Is it worth a team like Ferrari going mad in development to try and chase down Mercedes? I mean, the obvious answer is yes, because they want to challenge for titles, but Red Bull have gone a bit crazy with their concept, but maybe Ferrari are looking at it as it's better to evolve this year's car and make sure next year's is an absolute rocket. But I actually, maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to say it, Dan. If this is not on your bingo cards, it should be. I'm not technically minded, but I think that Ferrari is a step from there's a lot more on that Ferrari than I was expecting versus what was on last year's car. So I think they have taken a step. They've not, I completely agree, they've not gone as far as Red Bull have. But I don't think they've screwed themselves, because would you say they had an all right car last year, Dan? Or do you sort of agree with the other Dan in that maybe the car had so many flaws last year that actually they should have gone in a completely different direction?
I think Ferrari had more issues than just the car last year. I mean, how many times in the first half of the season did we? I mean, I say first, how many times over the last few seasons have we had a go at the strategy department? It's not ideal. Both Seb and Charles made mistakes. Reliability wasn't as strong as Red Bull or Mercedes, I would say, in quali and in the race. I mean, Monaco, Germany are the two off the top of my head. I remember quali not being great for them. So I think if they can just sort those little things out and be a more polished unit like Mercedes, already I think that's a big step forward. And I think the car itself was pretty good last year. I mean, Charles with the most pole positions of anyone. They went on that ridiculous streak of not only pole positions but front row lockouts. So there is some pace there. So I don't think it's as doom and gloom as I think a lot of people are making it out. I'm still quite optimistic that they'll be in the hunts. So yeah, I think slight changes going forward. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it is I'll be honest, I kind of wish they had gone a bit more crazy with their concept this year. But that's from a fan's perspective. We want to see Ferrari and Red Bull closing that gap. So at least Red Bull have gone with, look at the nose on that car, for example. It's completely different to last year. So much has changed there. But I wouldn't say they've screwed themselves, but equally, I will say it again, it's way too early to know for sure. They could arrive in Australia and it turns out that evolving the car was absolutely the right thing to do. We could be having this conversation again in a few weeks going, wow, if they just actually bothered to go a completely different way like Red Bull have, they'd have been close to Mercedes. But I guess the answer is we'll see after the first couple of races. I know that's a really crap answer in so many ways. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that car was very different, but I'm obviously very wrong.
Where's Stuart when you need him?
I know, Stuart. It's a deeper shade of red. It's a radical design.
Indeed.
Ferrari have had a downforce this season since they were lacking last year, Hungary especially, but it's hard to know if they've had enough without adding too much drag. That's from David. That's a good answer. I'm stealing David's answer. Definitely, as the sexy AlphaTauri has been backed into the garage. We'll see. Are you quietly confident for Red Bull this year, Dan, or do you think I'm getting too excited over nothing? I mean, I think we know the answer to that, don't we? But
yeah, I still think it's going to be a three-way title hunt. And maybe this is me being way too optimistic, off the scale stupid. But I think there's a lot of talk about DAS. And whilst it's very clever, I don't think it'll be as revolutionary as people are making it out to be. I don't think it'll give them a half a second advantage that I think some people would lead you to believe. And I think Ferrari, I think there is some form of sandbagging. And I think, yeah, I do agree with you. I think Red Bull have got a shot this year, especially if they really put all their eggs in Max's basket, which would be a shame for Alex. But in the position they're in, it makes sense. So I do still stand by, I think it could be a three-way fight. I still think Mercedes will have the edge because they're such a polished machine now. They've been doing this for so long. But I think it won't be as doom and gloom as some people will make you think, if that kind of makes sense.
I think Max is in the fight this year. Is the way I'm seeing it. I think they are going to spring a surprise. And again, I can't say too much more than that, but I think, Max will do all right at the start of the season. We'll leave it at that. But I still think, like you, Lewis, over the course of the season, and Mercedes will edge it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to scroll this back into place, but it's not having it. So I'm just going to sort it in a minute. Bear with me. You can have your bottom half of the table back again. Sorry, but yeah, I think over the course of the year, I can't see anyone but Lewis, to be honest.
And I mean, some people, I think, will definitely take the stance that, oh, Mercedes again, boring. But I think of all years, I think making history, I know Schumacher fanboys out there. I don't know any. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm guessing that won't be the nice thing for them, but I think it would be great for British motorsport anyway to see Hamilton at least match Schumacher. So I think even those that perhaps don't want to see a Mercedes champion, would be quite special to see, if that kind of makes sense.
I'll reiterate what I said this morning. I don't care who wins the championship. If Lewis does it again, he does it again. It's how we get there. If he wins the championship, but we have 21 or 22, whatever it is, epic races, then I don't care who's the champion at the end of it. Really, if I'm being honest. How many times have I said, if I'm being honest, or to be honest, today? Because I keep getting, that's one of those things I get told off for a lot. Well, stop saying to be honest. Does that mean you're lying to us the rest of the time? Probably. No, it's just I've always done that. It's people are, oh, you're too sarcastic. It's like, you want to meet me in real life. Dan has. But you think I'm sarcastic now. You meet me in person.
He's not wrong.
It's bad. It's really bad. That's my dad's sense of humour, though. Dry and sarcastic. But yeah, only 264 times, apparently. So that's good. Pierre Gasly in the commentary box. It's really not... We've got a few on track out there. Verstappen and Bottas. But it's been a really quiet afternoon. Leclerc's out there and Russell as well. I expected more. Whether they're all saving up for these amazing laps on Friday, Dan, I don't know. Maybe, but...
Yeah, it makes me think that we don't need 8 days. 6 just seemed like a nice amount. And I mean, today, it doesn't seem like people are doing hundreds of laps like last week. So maybe 6 is still a few too many. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great seeing F1 back. But it's also quite cool when we limit testing to a degree.
Who'd like some stats? And I don't care if you say no because you're getting them anyway. Uh,
Go on,
so
then.
after 3.5 days of testing, so that's the first 3 days, of course, and this morning, Mercedes had completed the most laps, 583. Second place were Red Bull, 500. Who do you think was second, Dan? Third, sorry, I've just told you was second, Dar.
I might have seen this, so sorry if I'm going to ruin your statistic.
Oh.
Is it Alfa Romeo?
It is Alfa Romeo. Oh, you're
Sorry.
rubbish. You could have said like Haas or something. 477 for Alfa Romeo, 469 for McLaren, 433 for Renault, 414 for Racing Point, 409 for AlphaTauri, 372 for Williams. So not as many as I thought they'd been doing. And bottom of the pile, despite the fact that Romain Grosjean put in over 150 the other day and he's pumping him in today, I suspect because of his crash, which cost them some of an afternoon, and Magnussen's crash, which cost them basically all of the afternoon, they're down on 358. They are bottom. But Ferrari only have 438. So they're, fifth, sorry. They're not exactly doing quite as much. They've had their issues as well, haven't they, to be fair? But they are your lap counts at the moment. I got those from Lights Out Blog, by the way, just to let you know. I should give him a shout out. So, yes, definitely go follow Nicky on Twitter. I take the stats from him for previews and what, although that's changing this year, but let's not previews, not Nicky. I don't know if Nicky's changing. He might be. I'll ask him. I think everything's staying the same over there. But yeah. Sardassum much. Poor Aldas last week, Dan. The last three letters of his name being Das. All he got was that all bloody Friday afternoon. I will. Are you all right, Dan, to answer some questions in chat, mate? While I go and have a very quick break. That's what I'll do before I do the order again.
I can do, chat. Be kind.
Don't break it again, please.
That's
what you did last year, twice.
You should have reminded me, but I will be on my best behaviour. Yes. I'll be my best behaviour.
Who's in charge? Because he keeps going on about a spanner, Dan the indoor man's in charge. I'm leaving the Dan's in charge. I'll be back as quickly as I can, though. I'm scared.
That's all right. Dan's in charge. Nothing will go wrong. Guys, if you've got any questions, you can feel free to throw them below. I will say straight away, Annette, I'm not breaking chat. I am on my best behaviour this year. If you guys want to do it, that is not on me. That is totally not on me. Why are so many of you? Someone said predictions for Marrakesh. David, that's sensible. I like you, David. I'll try and give you a wrench if I can. I think that means, I don't know. I don't know quite why people are about that. Marrakesh, Formula E. I'll do this quick because I know a lot of you don't want to hear about Formula E. I get that. Formula One's on. That's better. I reckon Audi could get a win. It'd be nice to see Audi have a bit of a fight back. Who else is Jean-Eric Verne? He's had a bit of a slow start to the season. Robin Freins. I think Robin Freins could be in Group 4. So I'd expect him to be kicking around this weekend. That I'll leave it at that for Formula E because I need to be on best behaviour, everyone. So I need to make sure. Rico saying Formula E is great. I 100% agree. Danimite, another Dan. I'll keep this going. How many DNFs for Grosjean this season? Well, look, without being too much of a fanboy, Grosjean didn't crash that much last year. Yes, the pit lane spin in Silverstone was very embarrassing. As a Grosjean fan, not his proudest moment. Yes, there were a few ding-dongs with K-Mag. Maybe I'm being blind. Weren't loads. So how many times this year? Probably 20. 20 No, I don't know. We'll say 5. Don't keep me to that. Loads of questions. Whoa. I appreciate this, guys. Cheers. Who is the worst driver from Peter's Cameron Travel? I'm not getting into that. I don't want the Verstappen army on me this year. Not saying that it's Verstappen. I'll move on from that swiftly. Do you like NASCAR? I'm getting into it this year. I'm trying to be more open-minded about motorsport. I've been very closed to single seaters, but old Bloomy Design is trying to push me over to the NASCAR. I've watched a few. I did watch the Daytona. I did watch another one beforehand. He forced me to watch. I cannot remember. I tried to watch a bit of the Dakar this year. Try and make it a bit spicier. Jesus Christ, can't even keep up. So tell us why you think Max is the worst. He's not. He's the best. You heard it here. You heard it here. Jesus, I can't keep up. I'm really sorry. Jesus. What have we got here then? Racing Rhino, my man. My man. Surprise of the season. I've got to answer your question. Surprise of the season. In terms of driver, I think I was going to say Lance Stroll. I can't be saying that if Sean's about to come back. You can't be encouraging that kind of behaviour. But I think Stroll, of what I've seen over the last few years, I definitely think's improved. He's not quite the driver we saw in that first season as Williams. So I think Stroll could surprise a few people in that Mercedes. I mean, Racing Point. Who else could be a surprise? I think Seb as well. I think they're the two main ones that I think will go into this season with people not expecting too much. And yeah, I think Seb could do a bit of a comeback this season. Would be nice anyway.
I'm back.
You're back. Thank you. People have been very nice in the chat, and I haven't broken it. I've tried my best. Lots of questions as well.
What's all this?
Which is nice. I know.
You're nice to him. And I get ignoramus. I mean, come on. What's going on here? Right, that's it now. Anyway, I'm going to run through the order, wasn't I? Oh, it's only 1:45. Oh, give it a couple of minutes. Oh, thanks, Marcus. Sean is back. Well, I'll go then. I'll leave you with Dan. Dan can answer all your stupid questions. I'm joking. He kept talking about Formula E, apparently. Oh, God.
I did answer a Formula E question. I tried to be quick, though. I tried my best.
This is an F1 channel, mate. You shouldn't be talking about Formula E.
I did say this. Don't worry.
Mark Jones, anyone into esports sim racing? No, but I should be. Because I've seen clips of it and I get really into it. But
wow, this is an F1 channel. Wow.
F1 esports.
Okay.
Touche. I want to, but my life is taken up by Formula One. It always will be. People, do you watch IndyCar? Do you watch this? No. It is Formula One and then Formula 2 whilst I'm editing other things. Formula 3 if I'm up early enough on a Saturday or Sunday morning, whatever. I know. Don't hate me, chap. I keep saying I want to get into it, like other things, but
it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm also lazy when it comes to stuff like that. I finished watching F1 and I think, do you know what? I want to play Fallout or I want to go on another game that I've got hooked on. No comment. So I kind of, I don't even play the game anymore. The F1 game, so yeah.
You played with me the other day.
Yeah,
almost beat me.
And then you ran me off the track, and then some other guys started abusing me because computer games now are not for fun anymore. Everything has to be incredibly serious. I know I can take myself too seriously, but I mean, come on, it's a game. Chill.
I'm sorry, I did not ram you off the track. That is absolute fake news. I was qualifying 2 seconds in front of you. No way. I didn't even see you. Ridiculous.
Australian Grand Prix. You saved the clip and you watched it with me afterwards, and you went, "Oh no, to be fair, that is my fault."
I don't remember this. I remember
it vividly. I was getting punchy under braking. I'll admit that. I will freely admit that. But
you brake checked me, is what you're saying. I get it. I
did not brake check you. Oh, excuse us, chat. We're just having a domestic. We're back shortly. I was coming down to turn 3.
I remember.
And the
don't
lap
worry.
before, I'd gone a little bit earlier on the brakes, not slammed them on, a little bit earlier and just edged across to push you to the inside, right? So I left you space. You could have gone for it, but you backed out. I did the same the following lap, and you decided not only are you not going to take the space I've left you, you decided to plough into the back of me, put me in the wall almost. Wasn't quite, damage was off, it doesn't matter. I was leading, by the way, chat. You know,
I think it was a blue flag situation, but memory's a bit hazy.
and then we got, and I hope this person's not in the chat, but then we got down to the next corner. We were battling, and we got all the way up to the corner before the long sweeping straight before that fast chicane. And I was busy watching my mirrors, forgot to brake and went straight into the side of somebody else, who then proceeded to hurl a load of abuse at me via direct messages on Xbox, to the point where I had to block them because my response was, all right, chill, it's just a game. Which is never a good thing to say to a gamer. But yeah, I enjoyed that, to be fair, playing in the afternoon. But
Good
I
little
think
sesh.
I should stay away in future because I just upset people. You cheat, and there's just no...
Oh,
and well, you and
stop it.
Philpot cheat. Do not tell me Philpot did not cheat.
I can't defend the actions of Philpot. But and Mango asking, is Sean any good? Yeah, he's actually not too bad. I'll give him his due. Better than I expected.
I'm excellent at F2. If I put the assists on, by the way, I must add that. Or like I had the full traction control on because I can't drive the F2 cars, and every time I looked in the mirrors, there was Dan just spinning.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm taking time out of my day to be bullied.
Thank
news.
you very much to Dominic via PayPal. That is an incredibly generous donation. Thank you so much. £100. That's awesome. Thank you, dude. Says, wanted to go to testing this year but couldn't because of work. So I sit around all day listening to your waffle. Thanks for the streams and keep up the good work. Thank you so much. That is honestly so generous and so kind. Thank you. That's I never know what to say to these, Dan. That's awesome. So thank you so much. And you're more than welcome. I love doing the streams. I think Dan, when I'm not bullying him, enjoys the streams. I know Stuart does. Jonty did. We all just do. Love sit waffling. We get a few months without F1, so we like to catch up with you guys before we go into the season and don't really have much time to talk to you again. But yeah, thank you very much for that again, mate. That's awesome. Thank you. And I've got to update that through Streamlabs. So you might have to talk for a minute, Dan, while I just update that. But that's 622.49. If somebody could remember that, that'd be great. Because I will forget. 62249. Oh my God, I'm such a boomer.
It's all right, mate. Don't worry. You're not that old.
Good. It was a good sesh, and maybe we should try and get a few people who are on chat now, maybe into a game at some point, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. Not that Jack Chambers though. Oh,
no,
bit of a dodgy
he disappeared. Coward.
He did. Exactly. We can talk about him now.
All right, chat. I've put it in. They're all just like 62249.
See,
I will.
nice.
I'll keep scrolling down every now and again on the live timing. Don't worry. I will do a rundown in a few minutes as well. I thought it was later than it actually was, but there you go. So, yeah, thank you to everyone who's donated. Actually, not just to Dominic, but yeah, it's very generous. I might have to get my third monitor now. Although technically with my second monitor because I broke my main one by spitting water all over it the other day.
Yeah,
or the other week.
You know what? Being there for that was a real privilege.
It was the fact that he it wasn't even a funny thing he said. He just said, we'll try not to get drunk this time. And then obviously all of that just came flooding back and I just spat my drink out everywhere. The F1 word. Try putting up F1 quiz like on Kahoot, for example. Boomer alert. What's Kahoot?
Disappointed. Kahoot. How do you describe Kahoot? Well, you need a mobile phone. Do you know what that is? That's probably step one.
No. Oh, do you think I am, you cheeky swine?
There's on the screen, it will say a question and it'll give you 4 answers. And then on your phone,
I know it.
One
Yeah,
of the 4 answers, if that makes sense. It's
I watched a YouTuber play it the other day.
Yeah, there you go.
I do know. And YouTube's where people make videos.
Ah, interesting. Like Vine.
yeah, just more toxic. Another contribution coming in. Thank you very much to is that Matthew? Said, which Grand Prix are you most looking forward to in 2020? Thank you very much again. That's a good question. And I should read these before I read them out and then have a think for 5 minutes and then read them out. I'm quite looking forward to Vietnam and Zandvoort because they're new tracks. I always look forward to Australia because it's the first race of the season. But I'd probably say Canada. It's a favourite of mine. Maybe Spa. In terms of attending, I'm hoping to go to Silverstone. So that's provided I could raise, or not raise, but save the grand that I'm going to need to go to Silverstone. But yeah, Brazil. Somebody in chat there. Samar saying Brazil. Yes, that's a great track. Oh, God, that's an impossible. I'm going to pick one. Canada. Dan.
See, being biased, I was lucky enough. No, I was lucky enough my 21st to get tickets to Monza. So I'd love it if Monza was a great race. But apart from that, I mean, this is such a horrible question. I know it's people are going to be absolutely falling asleep here, but I do really enjoy Monaco. And I know it's not always the best race, but I do really like it, and I do always really look forward to it. And I'm just going to be really controversial again. I'm looking forward to France in the sense that I hope they fix this first sector, and I hope it proves everyone wrong, and it's an absolute banger. So, anticipation-wise, I'd love those two to be great races, if that makes sense. I'd love them to just, all out of the blue, just be absolute worldies.
I'd love every race too.
Yeah, that'd
be incredible
good.
this year. And I hope Paul Ricard is, but it might be. That track has potential. They've just done it wrong, and they've got like 307 different layouts or something like that. Pick a good one. Do you know what I mean? It can't be that hard.
Yeah.
That's
my thinking.
You don't know until the cars have been out there racing whether it works or not, do you? So they kind of trial and error, but they have the options, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. I like Magny-Cours as a track, but it didn't always give us epic racing. I just preferred the track.
Oh, someone's put COTA. Yeah, no, that's my answer. Love COTA. Yeah, that's got to be it.
I'm going to go through the order before he changes his mind again and just names all 21, 22. China will be epic. Because it'll be right at the end of the season. Robert Kubica, still fastest from this morning, a 1:16.9. He completed 53 laps. We're on board with Romain Grosjean at the minute, but we've now no longer on board. I assume he crashed. Pierre Gasly is second on a 1:17.5, 25 laps. Alexander Albon on a 1:17.5 as well, on 29 laps, which I still think isn't bad given that he spent all but the last hour in the garage. Lewis Hamilton, 1:17.5, 89 laps. Lance Stroll, 1:17.7 on 43 laps. Max Verstappen leads those out from this afternoon at 1:18.0, 59 laps. Good from Max so far. Has had a spin. Valtteri Bottas went a little bit wide at the hairpin. That's about as dramatic as it's been for Mercedes today. 1:18.1, 64 laps. Vettel 1:18.1, 84 laps from this morning. Sergio Perez 1:18.2 this afternoon, 63 laps. Daniel Ricciardo 53 from this morning. It was all right, but I'm starting to look at other people now. I think it maybe wasn't. 1:18.2. Carlos Sainz 1:18.2, 46 laps. Nicholas Latifi on a 1:18.3 on 48 laps. I will scroll this down, seeing as we have so many drivers today, which is good stuff. Charles Leclerc 1:18.4, 55 laps so far this afternoon, which takes Ferrari well over the 100. Daniel Kvyat, 1:18.5, 30 laps. Romain Grosjean on a 1:18.6 on 83 laps. He's going to get through 100, Dan. Norris, 1:18.8, 38 laps. Russell, 1:19.1, 35 laps. Raikkonen on a 1:19.8 on 22 laps, and he is on the bottom of this sheet. Esteban Ocon, with a 1:23.5, 31 laps, out on track. That Renault looks gorgeous in all black. From certain angles, the nose looks good as well, but just not from other angles. But yes, not bad from Ocon considering he didn't get out until, was it 2 hours to go? I think he missed
Something
the first
like that,
2 hours,
yeah.
so not too bad at the moment. I was going to go and do some very quick maths. This could hurt my brain. But I am going to... by quick maths, I mean I'm going to use the calculator. Alfa Romeo, we'll start with them because they are obviously top of that list, have done 75 laps. Did you really need a calculator for that, Sean? Come on, for God's sake. Red Bull, 84 laps in total. No, because that was AlphaTauri, so it's more than that, but somewhat around there. 87 for AlphaTauri. Mercedes are well over the old 100. In fact, they're so far over the 100, it's ridiculous. 153 laps. John T says you don't do maths. No, I don't. I barely read, mate. It's absolutely terrible. What have Racing Point done? Where's Perez? They're over the 100, 106 for them. I'm doing this because people will ask me, so it's just easier if I do it very, very quickly. 139 for Ferrari. Renault with the other team, not a lot. Really, 85. Williams, Latifi missed out quite a bit this morning. 85 in total. Norris, 42, and 46 is 88. And I think that's pretty much everybody there. All I can be bothered to do. But yeah, a few teams go over the 100 now, so good stuff. But like you said earlier, Dan, not many seemed to be doing it, did they? Like an hour ago, we were sort of going, oh, not many laps today, but they are starting to pump the laps in. Thank God. It's been really quiet today.
Yeah, it seemed quite interesting this morning. Did you have 2 red flags, 3 red flags? I tried to keep up to date with it.
I think it was 2 because I got to use my red lights twice. So I was very excited about that.
But yeah, quite a quiet session this afternoon.
Oh, see, people on my back in chat about AlphaTauri and AlphaTauri. I don't know who to believe anymore. So I might just call them Toro Rosso for the year because there are people saying it's Tauri because of the Italian pronunciation, but then there are people saying that it's named after the Taurus constellation, and we say Taurus, which would make it Tauri. So, and as I said the other day, as you know, David Coulthard did the official thing, and he was around 63 different pronunciations of the same words. So I don't know. So there you go. Alpha Toro. That's what we're going to call him.
No, thanks. No, that sounds even worse. No. I mean, it's like Giovinazzi. I'm pretty sure it's Giovinazzi, but I still call him Giovinazzi. I just mix it between the two.
It's all down to local stuff as well. You know, different countries will pronounce things differently. So, you know, there'll be German people who watch this and they'll be like, oh my God, he's butchering how you pronounce Hulkenberg, for example, or whatever. But that's how we would pronounce it over here. But I'm also fully aware that us Brits are seen across the world as arrogant and what we say goes. Whereas I'm not like that. I know what I say is wrong. I'd never claim that. So, you know, it's like I've started saying Mattia Binotto now instead of Mattia Binotto. But only because I feel more comfortable saying Mattia than Mattia. If that makes sense.
I've never thought about that, you know. I'm not even sure which one I say. I think I just call him Binotto. I don't think... Oh, yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, even we're both aware the north-south divide in England. It's completely different accents and the way people speak. So,
which you guys will be able to hear tomorrow live when we have Geordie Jordan on.
Go on, let's hear the impression one more time.
I'm saving it for tomorrow, mate. And you say one more time, that's all I'm doing all afternoon is the impression. I've been working on a Welsh accent lately as well, so we've been watching Torchwood. I can't do it. It is terrible. It borders on racist. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad.
I was waiting for your Canadian impression last week. I was looking forward to that, and I never quite heard it.
Nah. I like
not brave enough.
But yeah, because I mean, you probably get it a lot as well, and I think everybody does when you get, oh, I hate your accent. Why can't you speak like the Queen does? Basically, it's like you're never many miles away from a completely different accent in the UK. We have too many. It is ridiculous how many we have. Yeah, so I like people. Oh, you're common. Yeah, pretty much. It's yeah. I don't know. Whatevs. It's that whole thing as well. Like, oh, I hate your accent. It's horrible. There's nothing I can do about it. This is my accent.
You're not wrong.
Talk like the Queen. Because I can't. Because she's posh. I got Latifi in the commentary box now with his PR lady. Johnny Herbert. Who's that? Oh, Will Buxton. What was he laughing at last week, by the way? He lost it completely, didn't he?
I can't.
In the commentary box.
Yeah, I know. I can picture it in my head, but I can't think what they were on about.
Oh, was it pizza and fries when he was doing the whole thing for the DAS? It was like pizza, fries.
It,
yeah. He's a one. My accent is mashed up of posh English and Northern Irish, and then people ask if I'm Australian. Oh, that's harsh. I'm not going to try the Northern Irish accent either. I've been practicing many accents for no reason. I just like to. I might open a stream one day with a Welsh accent or something just to really screw you all up. We've done all our driver predictions, the driver teammate battles, haven't we? So that filled a good 40 minutes. It was only supposed to fill 10 minutes. That was good, wasn't it?
We are good at that.
Who's your favourite Torchwood character? Says Elliot. I mean, Captain Jack, obviously. But other than him, I quite like Yanto. There you go. I don't know if you watch it, Dan, but there you go.
I'm aware of it, but I've never watched it, no.
What should we talk about then, chat? Throw some questions at us and we'll do a bit of that now because we are in the last hour and that always feels like the best time to answer questions. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. You're not hearing Sean's Irish accent. You're not. No, I can't. I like Torchwood 2 Annette. It's available on the BBC iPlayer now, so I'm just like binging it, which is awesome. Will Ocon be quicker now he's back out? That's Cash. I think we've. I don't know. It's I don't know what program they're on because they've lost so much time. He might have to do all of that slow running that would have been the first 2 hours before. Now, I'd be surprised if we see much in terms of lap time from him. I think this will just be about pumping in as many laps as he possibly can to try and get that total up. Because Renault, what did I say Renault were in mileage? They weren't too low, were they? But they could be better. Yeah, 4.33 laps in total. So they're not awful at all. They're not far off Ferrari, but they've lost a lot of time today with that. And I think it'll just be mileage. So I'd like to see him put in a good lap time. I'd just like somebody to put in a good lap time. But equally, Dan, can't lie, would kind of like Kubica to top the day. That would be really cool.
That would be great. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, of course.
Latifi, yeah, either Kubica or Williams would be a great story. Yeah. And also, John T, your accent is a Brummy accent, my friend. You can't escape that. I see you in chat.
He sneaks in, doesn't he? Sometimes you miss him. F1 word. What's the most wrong opinion? Is that Dan, I assume, holds from your point of view? Well, I feel like I'm just going to attack him now. The most wrong opinion that Dan holds.
There's a lot.
Have you seen his channel? I don't know, because concerningly, I agree with him on quite a lot of things. I just like to tell him that I don't, to wind him up on, like Grosjean and that.
I know which one you disagree with me most.
Oh, what is it?
Japan.
Oh, yeah, he reckons Suzuka's crap. So, yeah, there you go.
Overrated is what I'd go with.
Crap. Yeah, there you go. The fact that he thinks that Suzuka's a bad track. The worst on the calendar, he said. In fact, he said he'd quite happily go over there and dig it up and turn it into a retirement home. That's his exact words. He was so mad. Johnson's just said it in chat. Dan says Suzuka is rubbish. Yeah, get out, Dan. I'm not having it. Should F1 cars have NOS? I feel like I answer that every single watch along I do. No, but also yes. I mean, that would be pretty special, wouldn't it? Ocon did go quicker. 0.3. He did, didn't he? 3/10. Yeah, good spot there. I'm trying to focus on F1 questions, but there's like people ask me about Doctor Who, and I'm just my geek mind is just going, oh, I really want to answer that, but I can't. Thank you very much to Matthew for becoming. I don't know what that pronunciation was. I'm so sorry for becoming an F1 Word sponsor and for reminding me once again. I'm gonna write it down. I've got a pen. Hang on. A pen is what we used to use, Dan, before technology, mate. Just to let you know. Do I write on the back of this Bottas signed thing? I better not. I've got a signed Bottas picture here, and I'm thinking, do I write on the back of it? No. I will write it on my desk thingy. Member
notebook.
Ships. I've got like a desk pad thing, but it's actually a mouse mat, but it's a big pad thing, so I can write things down. Memberships. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for becoming a new sponsor. Massively appreciate that. That's great stuff. But I've been saying now for about 7 months that I need to sort memberships out, so I will try and get it done before Australia. I promise. And again, emphasis on the word try. Gonna have to refresh the chat now because I was strolling up. Is it actually strolling up or scrolling up?
I'm not too sure now you said that.
Kubica 0.9 seconds quicker than Raikkonen. That is nearly a second, isn't it? So, yeah. Does Williams have a new front wing? Yes, they do. They've got some more slots in it, according to Gary Anderson over at We Are The Race, at We Are The Race on Twitter. I still don't think that's the best Twitter handle, but really good content to them. Do you follow The Race, Dan?
I do.
Good stuff, haven't they? Genuinely.
Yeah, I'm the old publication they were with, a bit hit and miss, but I like what they're doing at The Race so far. And you know what? I know it sounds really silly, but I think the logo is absolutely world class.
There you go. Kieran, excuse me, I'll try that again. Kieran, best driver pairing on the grid. Ooh, why did I ask that, Dan?
Juicy content. That's what it is.
Hamilton Bottas works very well. I mean, if we're talking on talent, I mean, it depends on what. I'm probably going too deep. I was going to say on what works, but I mean, Hamilton and Bottas work very well. In terms of memeing, Sainz and Norris, I think we can agree on that one. Vettel and Leclerc, maybe? If we're just going on... do I think Vettel is currently better than Bottas? I wish I'd never asked that, damn. It's a good question, Kieran, to be fair. But, yeah.
I'm trying to avoid the answer as well. I think, in my opinion, I think Hamilton and Max are the best two. And I think I rate Bottas a lot higher than most. So I think Hamilton Bottas for me is, I was going to say clearly number one. I think, yeah, Ferrari strong, McLaren strong. Haas, of course, that's pretty good.
I think, yeah, if I'm looking at what driver lineup would I like from a management point of view, Hamilton Bottas. You've got a world-class driver who, if you give him the car, is going to at least challenge for the title, if not win it. And then you've got a second driver who doesn't cause too much trouble, is quite happy to play the team game if you need him to, but is also quick and can be there to pick up the pieces if the other driver, on the odd chance, does make a mistake. So probably Merc, but I think... I don't know, I like the Ferrari lineup a lot. I really do. There's just so many different dynamics in there, and I love stuff like that, and not just about the racing, but the stories behind it. And you've got young driver coming in, challenging older driver in Sebastian Vettel. He lost out in the fight with Ricciardo at Red Bull when Ricciardo came in. How's he going to react to that this season, as Dan's already said? Yeah, it's tough, but probably if I were picking a team, current lineups, then I'd probably have to go Mercedes as a boss. I mean, extend that question a little bit further, Dan. If you were picking a driver lineup, what would you go for? 20 drivers on the grid. Who's filling your team? Dan Grand Prix, or whatever you want to
Or
call it.
I won't go with Grosjean. I'm not that stupid. I would go with Hamilton and Ricardo.
Yeah.
Is what I would go with. Maybe Verstappen and Ricardo. I like Ricardo. I think Ricardo is criminally underrated, and I think what he brings to a team in terms of personality and morale and team environment, I think, is second to none on the grid. Maybe the two McLaren boys can bring that, but I think that partnered with his speed and his ridiculous ability to overtake, I love that for Ricardo, and I still think he should be in a top team. And then it's a toss up between Hamilton and Verstappen for me, and I think on consistency at the moment, Hamilton. But then if you want to go for the youth and the
The youth.
yeah, well,
Like Dan's in his 40s.
no, leave me alone. He's got age on his side, Verstappen. He could easily do another 20 years in F1, 20 more seasons, whereas Hamilton maybe 10 at max, and that's probably pushing it, if that makes sense.
I think Verstappen Bottas could work, but then are you just effectively recreating the Hamilton Bottas lineup in some respects? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying Verstappen's as good as, better than, or worse than Hamilton. I'm just saying you're picking a world-class driver and putting Bottas alongside him. But I mean, Stroll, Grosjean, why wouldn't you? Stroll brings in the money and makes up for the fact that Grosjean keeps sticking it in the wall and breaking everything. Bless him, poor Rogue. Poor guy. He was getting stick on Instagram the other day, and he did something about. This is what I love about Romain. He's got a cookbook, which is incredible, by the way. He's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. What I love is that even when he's biting back at trolls, he still manages to turn it back to food. He's like his response to, I don't know if you saw it, Dan, was essentially, have you ever tried to make an omelette without breaking eggs? I don't crash as often as you seem to think I do, or something like that. I was like, oh, Roman, do you know, you get just pretend Dan's not here, but he gets a little tick in that I like Grosjean column. But obviously it was a stupid response from an idiot as well. Bless him. Super chats. I'm trying to avoid Doctor Who talk. In come the super chats. Thank you very much to Elliot, who says, was David Tennant the best Doctor? And if not, why not? No. But I don't know. He's on a level pegging with somebody else. The best Doctor for me, but I'm a little bit older, was Tom Baker. But David Tennant is on that level. They are the best two by far.
By far, no.
Yeah. Oh, who's your favourite?
Look, I think you got to give it to David. But I mean, and you got to bear in mind. I mean,
have you watched the classics?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm Christopher Eccleston onwards. You see, I'm
well,
modern.
Then your opinion is irrelevant.
Well, no, okay, I'll allow that. But I also think Matt Smith was not far off David Tennant.
Oh, I loved Matt Smith. A lot of people did not like him. I thought he was brilliant.
See, there you go. That's
Matt Smith was the anti-Tennant, wasn't he?
And I think he did a really good job. And I quite like the new one as well. I just think
Whittaker
the directing quality is... Yeah, I just think some of the stories are rubbish. But I think her as the Doctor is actually quite good.
But very quickly, before I move on, I will say this. Criminally underrated Doctor, Peter Davison.
Not too sure who that is.
He had tough boots to fill in taking over from Tom Baker, and I think he was bloody good at it, and I really liked him. There was another comment which is hopefully F1 related, but thank you for that. It is good to wander off a little bit. This is one for you, Dan. This is from Marcus. Thank you for your contribution as well, mate. He said, who on the grid is Roman currently better than? Apart from everybody. You can't say everybody.
Yeah, okay.
We know that.
It's a toughie. I would, at this moment in time, say Latifi, Stroll, and that might be it, which is not nice to think about.
Yeah. A lot of people say Stroll's the worst driver on the grid, but I don't think it's fair that Roman's down there. overall, maybe on current form.
Yeah, and Stroll as well. I think his qualifying lets him down, but I think actually in the race, he's not that bad. I mean, he's great at first laps. I don't know how on earth he can be so not great at quali, but so great at first laps. That just seems quite bizarre. But yeah, I definitely think he's underrated. But and Latifi, I feel I'm being harsh on because we've not seen anything yet. But I feel I wasn't that blown away in F2. So I'd like him to prove me wrong. I'd like him to jump into F1 and instantly just click with the car better than he did with the F2 car.
I think Latifi will do better than we're expecting, but I don't think you're unreasonable with your skepticism of him. He's been in GP2 or F2 since 2014, and his highest finish in that series was last year, second, but he's never won any junior title.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
I can read you them because we've got the time. Italian F3, 7th. FIA European Championship, 15th. British Formula 3, 5th. The Toyota Racing Series, 9th. The European Championships, again, F3, 10th. Formula Renault 3.5, 6 events really, but 20th. GP2, to be fair, in 2014 only did 2 races, but 32nd. That's how many took part that year. Formula Renault again, 11th. Porsche Carrera Cup, 11th. GP2, 27th. GP2, 16th. Formula 2, 5th. Formula 2, 9th. And Formula 2, 2nd. It's not an epic junior career. And it's a decently long junior career as well. It's not like, for example, Verstappen, who didn't have an epic junior career in terms of titles, but that's because he hardly had one. Whereas Latifi's been, even just on Wikipedia, since 2012.
Yeah. And I think with every rookie coming in, you've got to be somewhat cautious. I mean, I remember last season, I thought it was too quick for Lando Norris. I really did believe that an extra year in F2 would have been good for him. And I was proved wrong in qualifying of the first race of the season. So sometimes drivers just instantly just take to F1 better than F2. So again, I hope for his sake that's what happens to Latifi.
I will reiterate what I said. I think it was Friday afternoon to Aldas. Just because you have a bit of a rubbish junior career doesn't mean you'll be rubbish in Formula 1. And equally, it doesn't matter if you had an amazing junior career. It doesn't mean you'll succeed in Formula 1. For example, Latifi has not had a great junior career, but he could come in and surprise us all this year. Stoffel Van Dorn's junior career was stunning. All right, I'm always going to defend him. That McLaren was terrible and the issues were Honda, but he didn't exactly deliver either. Plus, he had a really tough teammate to go up against, so it doesn't matter what he did in his junior careers. I love looking at junior careers because I think it is important to acknowledge them, but they do not define how good or how bad as a driver is. And I think, yeah, that's kind of my point really, was what I made on Friday, was that what you do in your junior career doesn't necessarily mean that will carry over to F1. So he might be amazing, Latifi, and I kind of hope he is. I kind of hope he's one of those that surprises us all this year. A bit like Gio did in his first full season, surprised us a bit.
That would be nice. And it'd be great for Williams as well if they had 2 really strong drivers and potentially just getting absolutely maxed out with that car and maybe squidging in a few Q2s. Just something little for them would be so nice.
Van Dorn is massively overhyped. You're on the wrong stream, mate. He's going to get it. No, I backed myself in a corner with Stoffel by saying I rated him. And I still do. And I think if he was in F1 now, he'd be doing a better job than some drivers on the grid.
Such as
Grosjean. Probably Latifi. Probably Stroll. I mean, I'm not really selling him here, am I? Let's be honest. Hamilton, Vettel, Leclerc. I think he'd be better than Verstappen now. I'm going too far now. But yeah, I think there are drivers on the grid that could be moved on and Stoffel could fill that seat. But as we said earlier, Dan, is he going to leave a Mercedes manufactured team in Formula E to come and race for Williams or Haas? No. He's not.
And I actually think as well, the quality of driver in F1 at the moment is insanely high.
It is.
Like apart from Grosjean, well, probably apart from Grosjean, I think most of them merit a space on the grid. I really do believe that. And even Grosjean, I hate to constantly ring the bell, but 10 podiums, plenty of experience. I think he's past it. I think he should move on. But that's not bad. 19 drivers. And Stroll, that doesn't really count because he's there forever. But 18 or 19 drivers, that's a strong grid. And most of them, I would say, I think deserve a place. And I could see being drivers that could pick up podiums.
Wow. You don't like Grosjean, do you?
No.
Daniel Philpott just said you're supposed to be the leader of the Grosjean army. You're not very good at it, mate.
You've got to be balanced sometimes. You've got to be balanced.
I'm going to quick scroll through Twitter, see if there's anything news-wise from teams. I don't think so. Like I said, it's been a bit of a quiet one this afternoon. But nothing from Renault on what was keeping Ocon in there at the moment. I will just have another. I checked a few minutes ago, but I'll double check. I think Annette said in chat she gets annoyed that they don't tell us more. But, they're not going to tell us everything in testing, are they? So we shall see. We shall see. But I agree. I think that we've got some great drivers on the grid. Or we've got some great drivers. We've also got some drivers with great potential. I think when you look at, I think Lando Norris has tons of potential. For example, George Russell not getting the credit he deserves for last season, definitely. I think Pierre Gasly's still got a lot to offer. And then you look at, you throw in there Hamilton and Vettel and Leclerc and Verstappen and Ricciardo and Raikkonen. There's really good drivers out there, and it's a good crop. And it kind of is... It's great having those drivers, but it kind of highlights why we need another team or two to give, because no youngster is going to come in and oust, for example, Vettel, for argument's sake. So we could do with a couple more teams so that these F2 boys that do really well get a chance in Formula One. Otherwise, they just end up in reserve roles, and I think we get a lot of talent wasted. A lot of talent wasted.
Definitely.
So, is it the best grid we've had for a while? I mean,
I would say so. I think
we might have touched on this last week, actually.
I'm struggling to maybe a 2012. Was it
6 champions?
Yeah. That's. But then we had some of the lower teams that perhaps had a few more paid drivers. So, yeah, I think this year's really strong. And actually, I saw a statistic the other week that the most experienced driver on the grid this year without a podium is Giovinazzi, which is ridiculous.
Really?
Because, Hulkenberg's gone, and then Sainz got a podium last year. Gasly did. So that's, and what is that, 24 races, which is actually quite insane.
I've gone to the grid now. Looking at who we've got for this year. Raikkonen, Gio, Gasly, Kvyat. They've both got podiums. Grosjean has podiums. Magnussen's got a podium. Yeah, Stroll's got a podium. So Albon.
Ocon, someone's just put, that's a good shout.
Ocon. So the only ones without a podium in F1 this year will be Russell, Latifi, Ocon, Albon, Norris, and Gio.
Which isn't bad.
It's a good strong field, isn't it, actually?
Yeah.
I'm just... Here he goes. You're looking at everything now like, wow. How many winners have we got then? So Ricciardo's a winner. Verstappen's a winner. Stroll's a winner in our hearts. Bottas is a winner. Stop it, Sean. Hamilton's a winner. Is he? I think, has Lewis Hamilton won a race?
A couple of years ago, I think he got one.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah. So that's all right then. Leclerc's a winner. Vettel's a winner. So there's 7 race winners on the grid. If you throw Raikkonen in there and Seb as well. It's a good grid. Good shout, Dan. Good shout, mate.
Thanks, dude.
It's not often to say that, is it?
No.
But yeah, thank you very much, Oz. You've just refreshed on Streamlabs. Thank you for your contribution. What time was it? 3:20, so over an hour ago. So apologies, mate, for taking us on to get here. Said a new hot take. He had a hot take earlier, Dan, where he said Ferrari will not make Q3 in Melbourne. He has a new hot take and says Sean will win the predictions contest for this season. Also, do you think that Bottas could go to Ferrari as a wingman for Charles? First of all, you ain't seen the video yet. If you think I'm winning that predictions challenge, you've got a lot more faith than I have, mate. But I mean, he could go to Ferrari. I've always said that if Bottas were dropped by Mercedes, I think Ferrari could be a good spot for him alongside Charles. Or Seb, he could be a good shout as well at Red Bull to go alongside Verstappen because, as I said earlier, he's quick, he's consistent, he picks up the points, and he doesn't rock the boat. And that's kind of what Ferrari might want after they've had Vettel and Leclerc together for a few years. So he could, but I don't think he will.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with all what you've just said because I still think that Bottas we saw at Williams is in there somewhere. And I do believe that driver is capable of fighting and potentially getting a championship. So I think he deserves a top seat. I think I just see him at Mercedes for the long run. I really do. And it'll all depend on when Hamilton retires. If Hamilton goes another 10 years, I don't think Bottas will still be there. If Hamilton retires at the end of this year or next year, I think Bottas is a really sensible option to keep on. Likewise, if he leaves, I think he's a great option for Ferrari. So I think he definitely warrants a top team. But then I also understand the point that I think there's other drivers that also deserve a chance at a top team. And when I see Ricciardo, Sainz, Norris, Russell in that midfield, even Sergio Perez, I think Bottas, his 4th season with Mercedes? I think at least he's had his chance now. Although I think he deserves to be there, I would like to see someone else have a go if he can't fill a space, if that kind of makes sense. I think maybe not.
Kelly, it did make sense, mate. You're all right.
Awesome.
Kelly on Twitter says, when Grosjean retires from F1, he should start up a restaurant with Lewis. A vegan restaurant, of course. Would have to be.
Not an awful idea.
Yeah, could work. Have you got his cookbook yet?
No. No, hard to get hold of, that is.
Of course it is.
Well, no. The difficulty is there's an English version and a French version, and the English version is difficult to get hold of. So I've done my research.
So what on earth is going on in chat that's made Jack say just told him I was pooping? What?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Oh, Jack's always poop. Anyway, let's have a run through the order coming up to 4:30 UK time, oh my God, add an hour, Sean. 5:30 in Europe. Kubica 1:16.9, 53 laps. Verstappen has moved on to second place while we were waffling there. 17.3 on 68 laps, comfortably actually. The quickest of the afternoon bunch at the moment. Pierre Gasly 1:17.5, 25 laps. Alex Albon 1:17.5, 29 laps. Lewis Hamilton 1:17.5 on 89 laps. Lance Stroll 1:17.7, 43 laps. Valtteri Bottas next up for the afternoon bunch. 1:18, 1:78 laps. Sebastian Vettel 1:18, 1:84 laps. Sergio Perez, another one for this afternoon, 1:18.2, 68 laps. Daniel Ricciardo, 1:18.2 on 53 laps. Carlos Sainz Jr., 1:18.2, 46 laps. Latifi, 1:18.3, 48 laps. Where were we? Latifi. Leclerc, a 1:18.4, 64 laps. Russell, 1:18.5, 48 laps. 1:18.5 as well for Kvyat on 50 laps. Romain Grosjean, 8 away from 100, 1:18.6. Come on, Rogue, get on track. 53 laps, 1:18.8 for Lando Norris, and then it's Kimi Räikkönen 18th on a 1:19.5, 32 laps, and Esteban Ocon 55 laps now. That's not bad at all, considering he lost those first 2 hours, 1 minute 22.8, which kind of backs what I was saying earlier. I think he's just going to go for laps and programs from this morning rather than anything else. But I will just say, if you're just tuning in and you missed it all this morning, Kubica smashed that lap in on the C5s. He also had a spin this morning, but it looks good for topping the session at the moment, unless Max can go out and do a bit more or somebody else. Pierre Gasly had some issues at AlphaTauri, not sure what they are yet. I will double check that in a moment. Alexander Albon, he has some suspension issues, which is why he only got 29 laps on the board this morning. Who else? Sebastian Vettel had a spin. Max Verstappen's had a spin as well today, by the way. Seb had a spin this morning. Daniel Ricciardo, nothing much there. Latifi's car failed again. That's the second one for Williams during the testing. One today and one last Friday, I think it was. So a bit of a mixed bag over there. And again, for those wondering if you just tuned in, can I find it? Here's the question. Yes, I can. The tyres for the morning lot, I've not got the afternoon lot yet. Kubica was on the C5, Gasly was on the C4, Albon C2, Hamilton C2, Stroll C3, and then Vettel was on the C3, Ricciardo C2, Sainz C3, Latifi C4, and Grosjean on the C3 as well. Yes. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream as well. That'd be massively appreciated. Always helps the channel out and gives us a boost as well. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Back tomorrow morning live with Stuart, aka Chamber, from 8:30 in the morning till 12. And then I've got Geordie Jordan and Mikey Mike. I don't really know what to call him tomorrow afternoon. So please do come along. That'd be great stuff. And thank you to everyone who's contributed today. And don't forget, you too can contribute if you'd like to get us close to that 78 quid-ish away from that £700 target. So if somebody wants to do that in the next half an hour, that'd be great. We've got 2 more days, don't worry. Links below to PayPal, where 100% comes to me, or Super Chat, where 30% goes to Google for some reason. And there is also a link to Streamlabs as well. So thank you very much for all those contributions over the last 2 weeks. Dan, 30 minutes to go. Romain Grosjean, you could be Grosjean watch. 92 laps on the board, 8 away from 100. Can you just get on the phone to him, tell him to get out there and get another 8 in?
Do you think teams actually look at that? Because, like, for us, that's like super interesting. But do you think the teams care? Like, it's great when we see like an awesome time, and it's great when you think, oh yes, just over 100. But I swear, it really wouldn't surprise me if they just left him in and just left us all waiting.
I think the teams care about the mileage, but if their program was to do 99 laps, they would just do 99 laps.
Yeah.
They're not bothered about. I wouldn't imagine they're bothered. They'd like as many laps as possible. Like I say, if they're aiming for a specific target, that's what they'll do. One thing I would pick you up on is when you say we get quite excited, or that's quite interesting for us. Is it? Or is it that there's nothing else happening when it comes to testing and that's all we've got to focus on?
That's a very good point.
I'll try to get this right. Sachs said, curious, is Merc running DAS today? From the onboards I've seen, I've not seen it used. I'm trying to think back to this morning because I've not seen much of Bottas on board, but everything with Hamilton this morning, he didn't look as though he was using it. But what Ferrari have said, by the way, and I bet I can't flipping find it now. Have a look at that Tammy. Have a look at that Tammy, who's brilliant with this sort of thing. She did retweet something regarding DAS. Binotto said, DAS is something we have thought of adopting in the past. We had our doubts about its regularity. I couldn't say that word then. And its ability to improve performance. I can inform you that we will not install DAS on the Ferrari. So they don't seem to think it's going to be that much of a performance boost. And so it looks like they're not going to be putting DAS on the Ferrari, if we're to believe him. Interesting. So there you go. I wonder if there were concerns over the legality of it as well. Maybe they're just thinking, is it worth the hassle? But yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
I mean, if
surprised they're
they've
not gonna
already
put it
got
on?
R&D. Well, yeah, if they've already got R&D for it,
Hmm.
maybe it's worth looking into it. But it's a little bit like we spoke about earlier. I think most teams are more going to try and work out when they're going to move to 2021. So developing this from scratch, and they can't use it for 21, I think it's unlikely. I don't think it's going to make the ridiculous amount of time gain that I think some people think it will. Sure, I think it's great, and I think it will help out. And hey, in Formula One, all the little bits add up. They really do. But I think at this stage of the game, if you've not already implemented that into your design, I think maybe it's a little bit late.
Yeah, and kind of adding to that, first name, last name, too late to start developing for this year if it's only going to be made illegal not going to be legal next season. So that's a good point. They might only be putting it on for a few races, so maybe nothing. Graham, thank you very much, mate. Williams now done 100 laps. Good spot on that one, so that's good stuff for Williams. With a lot of Flovies. Wow. When you get to this, Dan, George Russell, is that pink or red Flovis? It looks a bit fluorescent pink.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a thing, isn't it?
I really think the Flovies like there was a green one on the Williams as well. Just looks really cool, and I wish they'd use it all season. Like I like the design of the Williams. I wasn't too sure at first, but the more I've seen it, the more I like it. But Flovies on that car looks great.
I was going to say this is going to be the year of puns, by the way, but I think it just always is. Riley C, I guess you can say worth the dazzle. Very good. You can't see me pointing at you, but I did, and a wink as well. Sandwich says worth the hassle. Oh, good Lord. And Karan says, that's a good point.
It's only day 4 of testing.
Up to 22 races of this season. No, it's all good fun. Thank you, everyone. You somehow get me through this. I mean, you all send me mad. I lose my mind by the end of these, but yeah. It's good stuff. Now I can't answer any questions in chat. Now I have to wait until everyone stops dassing around. I don't know what that means. What we're looking at, we got Grosjean out there. He is back on track, Dan. Yes.
Good man.
Come on, Grog.
Almost there.
Watch him bin it on 99, and then Dan just bursts into tears live. What have we got? I'm just trying to work out. So on track, quite a few then. So Verstappen and Perez are out there. Perez up to third, by the way, 1:17.4 on 69 laps. Leclerc's on an out lap. Russell, Kvyat, here we go. Kvyat up to seventh. Whoa, it feels like qualifying. 1:17.7. Russell, Grosjean, right. Yeah, fair few now. Ocon's out there still, putting his laps in. So I'm going to keep an eye here and see what... Grosjean's time isn't spectacular. 4.1 off Kubica in the middle sector. But yeah, Kvyat up to seventh, Perez up to third. What tyre did Checo do that on? No way.
What tyre?
C2.
C2?
I need to see Perez off board because that might be a mistake. If that's the C2 and he's done a 17.4, I know it's only testing. I know all that, but wow. That could be a... It must be the 3. People in chat are saying C3. It must be. I'll wait and see. I'm pretty sure. There's no way that's a C2. That's Kvyat on the C3. That's what's put him 7th. We'll keep an eye. I'll wait for Perez to come back up. But yeah, we're on board with Kvyat at the moment on the C3 tyre. What laps has Kvyat done today? 51. Grosjean is on 95 now, so he's going to go through the 100. Bottas on 82. I'm trying to work out with anybody individually will go through the 100. Verstappen won't, 25 laps, although Albon put in quite a few, didn't he, in quite a short space of time, so maybe. I think it is probably just Grosjean today, maybe Bottas. It's going to go through the 100 individually. But we've already got Williams through the 100, Mercedes through the 100, Ferrari through the 100, comfortably through the 100, it must be said. Red Bull, yep, they're through that now. Quite a few teams doing that. So what a... Yeah, 93 overall for Alfa Romeo. So that's what we're watching now, Dan. Anybody putting in some hot times and who might tick over 100? I think Grosjean's going to do it. Which obviously would put Haas over the 100 because he is the only one out there today. But yeah.
How many has Esteban Ocon done?
Well, astonishingly, Dan, this morning Ricciardo did 53. Ocon, who lost 2 hours, has done 62.
Blimey.
He's not even done. That's an hour and 40 minutes. He's done. That's relentless.
That's impressive.
Jack says, so guys, I've not been here all day, but if it hasn't been said already, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you can. Show Sean some love. He pours his heart and soul into it, and it's great. Yeah, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, mate. Well, yeah, don't forget to drop a... Yeah, Rico... I love it when you say blimey as well, Dan. Rico loves it in chat. It's one of my... when you're like, blimey.
Oh, is that one of the ones I use too often?
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
no.
God.
You can use as much as you want, mate.
Okay.
I like it. But yeah, I'm looking out here for Perez. 1:17.4. I'm gonna go to the official timing. I'm not saying that GP today is wrong, but I suspect it might be wrong. It says Perez was on the soft, so that will be, yeah, that's Gasly, Sean. The medium, sorry, so it is a C3, yeah, sorry. Just waiting to confirm that. So there we go. That's still a very good lap, but calm down. If that's a C2, we're in for a shocker, an absolute shocker this season. Racing Point could really surprise us all, but yeah. It's still a good lap, though, 17.4.
Yeah, I'm slightly disappointed. It's not the C2.
I was getting giddy.
Yeah, you're right, there. It's not bad. What tyre was Verstappen on for his? I don't want to do too much
C3.
digging.
So he's
Yeah.
a 10th off Verstappen, yeah.
And I mean, it is only testing, so I'm sure people will remind us. But yeah, it's what a turnaround. I mean, for so many years, this team would just show up with such a weird monster of a car in testing. And I know it's a different way of doing things this year, but it's nice to see, considering the struggles they went through a couple of years ago.
And they've always punched above their weight, haven't they? So, yeah. I shouldn't be surprised, really. But like you say, a couple of years ago, this team nearly completely disappeared. And here they are with a year-old Mercedes, effectively. Or what feels like a year-old Mercedes. Could they top that midfield? Or are they? I think we talked about this earlier, didn't we? Or are they overhyped? But, I mean, yeah. I don't really know what to say on Racing Point. I've kind of covered them quite a bit lately. Still quite a few cars out on track. Ocon, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Leclerc, Fiat and Perez. I'm intrigued as to what Ocon can get to total-wise in the last 17 and a bit minutes. He's still out there, bless him. Throwing that car around. Daniel Kvyat, 234 laps in total for testing. That is over the 2 weeks so far, 56 today. I do like that stat from F1.
Is that the most of anybody?
No.
I'd assume that's Hamilton or Bottas, one of the Mercs, I'd assume.
It'll be one of the Mercs. It usually is, isn't it? Let's be honest. Grosjean 2 away from 100, by the way. So have all teams... Right, I'm going to have to top my head, Dan. Have all teams gone through the 100? So Alpha 50 and 42. Not quite. Come on, Kimmy. Verstappen 77 and Albon 29. Yes. Perez 76 and Stroll 43. Yes. Gasly 25. Kvyat 56. Not quite. Albon 29 and Verstappen 77. I think I've already said that, haven't I? So yeah, they're through. We know Mercedes are 82 for Bottas and 89 for Hamilton. Ferrari are 84 and 71. And even Renault are 53 and 65. McLaren 46 and 53. They are pretty much there, aren't they? One more will do it. So yeah, there we go. We're getting there. Maybe they will. Max Verstappen 332 laps in total across testing. 78 today. So there you go. I've forgotten what Kvyat's was already. I was going to say that's more or less.
I think it was 200 and something, so Verstappen comfortably more. The more I think about it, the more I think Kvyat actually hasn't done that many compared to most of them.
W10 faster than W11, but it's still testing. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for your contribution there, mate. Really do appreciate that one, but that's a good point. Yeah, W10 quicker than the W11 in Barcelona. There you go. Only 4 tenths as well off the time from Kubica this morning on a tyre that is 2 grades harder. Yeah, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's not like you say. It's not as exciting as we were hoping, Dan. That it was the C2 he'd done that on. It was like Perez champion confirmed. But yeah, pretty good. What are we at? We're at 15 minutes to go. So we'll take a few more questions from chat, round this off very, very nicely. And of course, I'll go through the final standings towards the end as well. Evan wants to know any thoughts on Sophia Flörsch. We've kind of covered that a little bit earlier, but I think we're both very happy, is what I said earlier, that she's made it to F3, but also just her story. To recover so quickly from that accident and get herself into F3 is epic, is what we were saying earlier. So, yeah, very much chuffed to bits, as us Brits would say, and by us Brits, I mean me. The F1 word, do you think Liverpool is better than City? What, this season? Yeah. Historically, as a club, yeah. Should I be... I mean, I'm a Man United fan. That's an impossible call to make. I'm moving on. Do you think Alpha can get higher up the grid this year? Alfa Romeo, I'm assuming that is. What? Was 7th last year? It's... Look, the midfield is impossible to call, isn't it, Dan? But it's going to be really tough for Alfa Romeo to make a massive jump when you consider you've got Racing Point with their copy and paste. You've got McLaren, who should be strong. You've got Renault, who think they're strong. And then you've got AlphaTauri, who think they're strong. And throw into that Haas and others. It's just so close. It'd be tough for anybody to make big gains on those ahead of them. But like you said earlier about... was it Norris's Sainz? It could come down to one result.
I think quite a few of them. It could come down to one result. But yeah, I like Alpha. And actually, a couple of years ago with Ericsson and Leclerc, they were awful at the start of the season. And right at the end, I mean, Abu Dhabi, Leclerc, for a moment, we kind of thought he might be in the running for a podium. So they're the kind of team, because they are Sauber, really. They're pretty much Sauber. They're the kind of team that could spring a surprise. I am skeptical for this year, and I do think they will be one of those teams that swaps over to 2021 earlier than perhaps some of the other midfield teams. And although I still think Kimi has got it, I don't think their driver lineup is as strong as most of the other midfield teams. So I think that'll also hold them back a little bit.
I'm going to try and pronounce his name now. Massive apologies. Is it Guillaume? Yeah. Thank you very much for your contribution, mate. It says, in your opinion, who's winning F2? Shout out to Brazil. There you go. I'll give you the shout out to Brazil since I completely destroyed your name. So there we go. Thank you very much. F2 this year, Dan. Oh, I'm going to have to go and Google the grid. I can't remember who's there, and I've answered this before for somebody, and I can't remember what I said. So now I'm going to be a hypocrite. Dan Ticktum. No, I'm joking. I mean, he's in the Dams. It could be Dan Ticktum. Quite surprised to see Sean Gallale there, but
really, he's always there. He's always.
No, I mean in F2.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
I was being moderately sarcastic.
Oh, that went straight over my head.
Every time he's there, I'm like, wow, he's still there. He seems like a nice guy.
Worth it for the helmet design.
I'm not sure who will. I'll tell you who I quite like to, apart from Callum Ilott, Schwartzman.
Wow, I didn't expect that answer.
But who would I pick as a title favourite? Marcus Armstrong.
As a title favourite?
He's in an ART.
He is in an ART. You know, who's his teammate? I can't
Christian
remember.
Lundgaard.
Not bad as well. I think the difficulty is there's so many youngsters, isn't there? So whereas before, like last season, I think it was pretty easy to say Latifi, Giotto, and De Vries would have a pretty good shot. I think this year it's pretty much out in the open. I would say anyway. I think, yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Schwartzman impressed enough in F3 to prove that he could give it a good run straight away in F2. I have a, I have a good feeling about Schumacher. I think historically he's always done better in his second season. I think Schwartzman, of what I've seen, I think is the better of the two, and I think that partnership at Prema is going to be so good to watch. Um, and I think he's perhaps a little bit overhyped, but I would like to see Jack Aitken have a really good season. He seems like a really nice guy, and he seems like one of those drivers that just sometimes cannot get the luck. So I'd love him to just have a really consistent year and finally get it. But I think Schwartzman has it for me, unless I'm missing anyone blatantly obvious like Markelov or someone like that.
It is that historical thing of Mick Schumacher doing better in his second season that makes me think he might just edge that battle. And if that's a shootout for the Alpha seat, which it could well be, that might see him in next year to F1.
Mm.
But Robert Schwartzman, he's another one of those that I followed for a while, but he really impressed me last year. Really impressed me. And I kind of want him to win F2. But equally, if he wins it, he doesn't get a second season, and he's still young and could probably do with 2 seasons in F2.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And yeah, I've got a good feeling about Mick as well. But if he makes it to F1, we've said this so many times, mate, haven't we? But if he makes it to F1, it needs to be on what he does in F2. It cannot be because of that name.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
We'll see. I think Jack just asked me if I've ever considered sponsoring a driver like WTF1. I haven't got the money, mate. Otherwise, I absolutely would. But there's no way I'm affording that. Unless you want to let me keep that $3,000. And I'll sponsor myself, but never get a drive. 261 laps, by the way, for Esteban Ocon. Not today, don't worry, in total over testing, but he has done 71 laps in nearly 2 hours. That's not bad at all. Good lad. Turned that around, hasn't he? He's just stayed out there. He's been out. He went out, and I think he's pretty much been out constantly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was it? Was it about 2 hours to go when he came out? So that's a mighty session.
I do have $3,000 in my account, Jack, but you're taking that back because you're horrible. I love the fact the message just said this could turn out to be a really expensive joke. And it's like, whichever way, because of the way the money's returned on PayPal, either way it's costing money. So it has been an expensive joke, but a hilarious one that I am never going to let you forget. Or anybody else for that matter. But definitely, yeah, he did change tyres. Thank you, Cash. But pretty much been relentlessly out there, hasn't he? So what else have we got? Let's super quick run through the order for the last 7 minutes, and then we'll see who's got what we could be looking at. Rogro, by the way, it's on 103 laps, so he's done it. So not really much point to talk about Kubica, so we already know he's topped this so far. 117.3 from Verstappen, 83 laps. 117.4, 83 for Perez. So they're pretty even in every way. Kvyat up to 4th now on a 117.4 on 60 laps. I'm just looking at the afternoon lot rather than looking at everybody because we've already been through them a couple of times. 118.1 from Bottas, 88 laps. Ricardo was this morning. Leclerc 118.2, 79 laps. So not great pace again from Ferrari with that lap of an 18.1 from Vettel, but great mileage again. 118.5 and 58 laps for George Russell. Grosjean 118.6, 105 laps now. Lando Norris 118.8, 55 laps. Raikkonen 119.5, 50 laps. And Ocon 72 laps on a 121.542. Just for a couple of minutes, I'll put the bottom half of the table back up again. We're not going too far. There we go. For those interested, but there we go. Not bad. So he's got through his laps. He's got past 100, Dan, but really for the last 6 minutes, we're looking at, what we got. 12 laps if Bottas wants to go through 100. I can't see that happening in 6 minutes. You have to go bloody quick. That's for sure. Yeah. Not much, really. Roman was the one that I was sort of banking on there to maybe hang on until right towards the end to get over the 100, but he's done it. Verstappen 16 laps off the 100. I can't see that happening either. If he does, then Red Bull title confirmed. But yeah, not really much. Not really much. I mean, they're looking at the calendar again for anyone that's interested. Starting Australia March 15th and in Abu Dhabi, the end of November. Well, for now we end in Abu. Oh, Maximus Verstappen has had a spin again, and he's out the car. That'll be a red flag. That'll be session over.
Oh dear.
So what's happened? It's the hairpin turn 10. Oh, and we've got an AlphaTauri off as well. A up. Oh, you don't think? No, that's at turn 9. Daniel Kvyat.
What's gone on here?
So Kvyat stopped on the entry to turn 9. Verstappen is on the exit of turn 10. It is a red flag. That'll be end of the session then. So that is the end of it for today. But we'll stay with you for this dramatic development. Well, I said we needed something to round off the stream, Dan, for the last 4 minutes. It looks like we've got it, mate. I'd be surprised if these two are connected.
I mean, I agree, but turns 9 and 10.
Oh, here we go.
Slight coincidence.
Oh, so Max just spins at turn 10 and keeps... It's not even a dramatic spin, just a half spin, and rolls backwards. Car's not... Yeah, car doesn't sound good. So it's a mechanical issue. It looks like it's locked up the back and he's gone into a spin. So it's a mechanical issue for Max that put him into that spin. Or at least that's how it sounded on board. I mean, the Honda is a pretty nice sounding engine these days, so I don't think it was... Yeah, but that went into a spin. So waiting for Kvyat now. Has Kvyat parked it? Jolyon Palmer speculating that Kvyat might be running out of fuel. What do you make of that Verstappen spin? It sounded like an issue online, on board.
Yeah, and it didn't look like the spins he's had, making out like he's done so many spins, but it didn't seem to be, I was going to say driver error. It seemed quite a slow speed spin. There didn't seem to be much haste of getting it going again. So yeah, I'd imagine that was some form of issue. And that's a strange place to have a spin as well. I don't think I've seen someone have a spin there for a very long time.
Max laughing with the marshals there. Quite happy. But I think that's it. We'll wait for the clock to tick down on the off chance that somebody goes out and does something. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. So it looks as though Robert Bob at Kubica is going to top the 4th day of pre-season testing with a 1:16.9. Max Verstappen will be second on a 1:17.3. Perez a 1:17.4. Daniel Kvyat a 1:17.4. Gasly a 1:17.5. Albon in 6th place, 1:17.5. Hamilton on a 17.5 in 7th. Stroll a 17.7 in 8th. 9th place, Valtteri Bottas at 1:18.1. Sebastian Vettel a 1:18.1 in 10th. Daniel Ricciardo 11th on a 1:18.2. 1:18.2 as well for Carlos Sainz. It is a 1:18.2 for Charles Leclerc. A lot on 1:18.2 there. 1:18.3 for Latifi. George Russell 1:18.5. Romain Grosjean at 1:18.6 and 105 laps. Norris a 1:18.8, 55 laps. Kimi Raikkonen a 1:19.5, 51 laps. And do you know what? Driver of the afternoon, Esteban Ocon, a 1:21.5, sat out the first 2 hours with issues, and still managed to put in 73 laps. So well done to Esteban Ocon. But I think driver of the day, Daniel, the only one I ever asked this to, because I know it's funny. Gotta be Robert Kubica on a 16.9.
I mean, that is great to see. That has put a bit of a smile on my face seeing that, to be totally honest. That is pretty great, considering the difficult year he had. I'm not against that. I know you want me to say Grosjean, but I'm not against Kubica.
Adrian said, I think Kvyat has just done a fuel tank run dry test. Maybe. It didn't sound, I didn't really see any onboard or anything, but he didn't look, there's no smoke or anything, so maybe. But there you go. Well, I mean, I know it's only testing, but when you are a reserve driver and all you have is testing and practice, he'll take that top in the session, won't he? You've got to give him that. I know it's only testing, but come on, it's all he's going to get this year. Unless Kimi retires mid-season or Gio is rubbish, of course. But I think, he'll be happy with that. They're just wrapping up the stream now, so.
I mean, it's what he was going to Alpha to do, isn't it? So if he can actually be at the top of the times, fair play.
Oh, that was a bit of an interesting end to what was an odd afternoon, quiet afternoon, Dan. But we had lots of natter, lots of waffle. It was good stuff. So, but I think I'm just going to double check I've done all super chats, but I think we're going to leave it there. I'll do a quick refresh, make sure. I can take those headphones off there so I don't have to listen to Sky's dreadful intro music. Yes, we are. Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Dan. It's been a pleasure as always, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed our waffling and chatting this afternoon. I think we covered most bases.
More than most.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, good stuff, mate. And yeah, I think next time we'll probably talk will be on maybe a race reaction at some point in season. I mean, obviously we'll talk on Twitter and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, dude. Good luck for the rest of the week. I'm sure this is me done now, but I know you've still got a couple more days, with the Chainiest Beariest tomorrow morning. So good luck.
It'll be good fun. And Jordan tomorrow could be interested with Mike, but yeah, looking forward to it. But yes, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, man. See you later. See you later, chat. Thanks for. I was going to say thanks for having me then, chat, but thanks for having me, Sean.
No worries, mate. Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Thank you to Dan. Also, thank you to Stuart this morning. And thank you to you guys for tuning in too. It's been a pleasure. And thank you as well for your contributions to help us get within, let's say, 80 quid of that £70 total. I'll be back at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. I know I said tomorrow morning because that is what AM is, but you know what I mean. With Chain Bear Stuart for the morning stint. We'll be live till 12. And then I've got with me in the afternoon Jordan from the F1 Debate Show and Mike from F1 Fanatics as well. Don't forget to check out Dan's channel in the description. Please do drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new, ready for not only the rest of this week's testing stuff, but also some pretty good stuff, hopefully, this year in terms of videos. If we get a season, if no more races get cancelled, let's not enter that conversation again. You can follow me as well on social media. All of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching, and I will catch you all in the morning. Bye-bye.